to the Reap Smite League, week number, I believe, 3. As we are heading into the game here, we have Dinklebergs against Quantum. Dinklebergs will be on Chaos side, Quantum on the Order side, Spooky Mars here on the cast, joined today by none other than Atrocity Jungler, Ruler of Men. How you doing, Ruler?
We're doing all right. We're doing all right.
Always a pleasure to hear. We're heading right into the ban phase here as we see two familiar faces taken off the board, Freya and Cthulhu, not allowed in this match. It's not too surprising. Cthulhu has been pretty dominant in the solo lane, not not as much in the support role as one may usually expect of a Guardian, though actually no slouch there either, as he has seen some success in that role as well. But Bakasura also taken off the board, and that's one that you usually see pretty high on those ranked ban lists, but not as common in competitive. Ruler, as a jungler, what do you think of this Baka ban?
Baka's very hit or miss in my opinion. You're either gonna snowball real hard and just hyper farm, or you're not gonna do anything. It's one of the two. You can't do both.
Yeah,
0 to 100.
definitely not a 50-50 chance you want to take really on either side of the battlefield here in competitive, as Arachne also banned away, as this just shows you how prevalent these auto-based junglers have been in the meta recently. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw maybe a Nemesis ban, and there it is, Nemesis, last ban for the Dinklebergs, and also taken away was Yamoja. And I'm actually a little bit surprised to see that Oleron and Heimdall also both on the table right now, as they've been also very popular picks in this meta. Oleron especially has been argued by some to be better than Freya purely because of the ultimate, but what do you think about that, Ruler?
I mean, Freya definitely a better one-on-one boxer, but I mean, the insane ultimate from Oleron is really just understated a lot of the times, and it's easily able to turn a team fight. Another top pick we didn't see banned out is the Persephone. However, we do see two mages, so it's unlikely that we see her picked up here.
Yeah, the Persephone doesn't surprise me quite as much as Persephone is one of the more difficult gods to kind of grasp. So even if you see her picked up, you're not as likely to see someone using her to her full potential at this level of play as maybe like the SPL, where you'd be kind of dumb to let her through. Now, instead, we will be seeing Scylla and Merlin facing off in the mid lane. It's a classic tale of burst versus sustained damage. And looks like we will also have a Guan and Robin. Now, I know, Ruler, you are a fan of the Guan Yu jungle, but I'm gonna have to tell you, I think it's Robin going to the jungle this time around.
I think I can agree with that. I think that's gonna be a Raven jungle. I mean, Guan, still a toss up. Good support, good solo. Recently got buffed, just a little bit of extra damage. She's feeling nice though.
Now, I suppose it could be a Robin support.
I don't think we're quite as spicy as you think we are.
I've seen King Arthur support with a Nemesis carry. I
that's
think the
that's
place is
Dr. Phil.
pretty spicy.
I don't think Dr. Phil really counts.
Now,
They just kind of do what they want.
we will see the Oleron taken away in this second phase of bans here, as Quantum has not yet selected their carry. So both bands tailored more towards that, as Rom also joins him on that table. Quantum, for their part, have noticed a lack of support on the side of Dinklebergs. Geb and Ganesh both off the table at this point. Neither of those two gods will be able to be picked. And honestly, the Geb surprises me a little bit. The Ganesh, not as much. But Geb hasn't really been one of those standout supports in my eyes that you just kind of pick into anything and go to town with. What do you think of that?
I mean, Geb, he's extremely safe. He's got the cleanse, he's got the huge shield, the big old CC from the ultimate, the little knockup. I mean, he has a good kit, and if you use him pretty well, he can be very, very strong.
Mhm. Now, I do see Bots is locked in, and folks, if you hadn't caught the update, Bots did get a buff this patch. Well, maybe not so much a buff as a nerf revert. His cooldown on the ultimate is now no longer stuck at 120 seconds. He will scale down to 90 seconds as he ranks it up, which feels a lot better than having to wait 2 minutes for your team fight ultimate to come back online. We see this draft is rounded out with an Athena in the support role. And I do like Athena here. I think that's a pretty strong pick into what Dinklebergs have drafted here. They've got the Merlin damage, a taunt into the Eclipse, doesn't feel good. Taunt someone into the Cupid ult, locks him down, sets up for Moonbots, sets up for Merlin. Not to mention they've got the Nike. These guys are looking like they have a really strong team fight right now. What do you think, Ruler? Who are you leaning towards?
I mean, I think Dinklebergs definitely has a stronger team fight looking into this these team comps. There's just a lot of big old circles, and I like big circles. I don't know how everybody else feels about them, but I love them.
Big circles are pretty popular. I think someone even made a podcast about big circles, but I'll get into that later. I do like what Quantum has done with their draft. They have a lot of bursts and they have a pretty good front line. It looks like their plan really is to just get to late game where Jingwei and the Scylla will really come online and just start shredding through teams. And they've got the Yorm and the Guan to kind of frontline, break up the fight a little bit. Guan Yu especially is good, in my opinion, into what Dinklebergs have drafted here, as he has that CC immune ult. He'll be able to just run through the fight and try to break it up as best he can and allow Subtles and Actual Oblivion a little bit of space to get where they need and find their damage.
Yeah, and I mean we see the Yorm support again. I mean that's something that I love. Something that our coach kind of came up with, and you know we've been running it, and it doesn't surprise me that our assistant coach had a Quantum run it here.
I would actually think it was going to be Guan Yu in the support role, quite frankly. This one does surprise me a little bit. But I would like to make one small request of our fabulous spectator Dinosaur. Could we perhaps get some health bars going at your earliest convenience?
Ooh, no
All
health
right.
bars.
All right.
That's unfortunate. Gonna have to look at the sides. Ah, there we go.
Unfortunately, I do not have equal footing with Dino anymore, so I'm not able to talk up to him or talk back to him. So you will just have to settle for no health bars. I say as health bars appear.
Do you see some good damage onto the Yorm? However, the Cupid is taking some good poke as well.
And we do see that Yorm has hit level 2. He's got that little bit of an advantage over Athena, but not able to use it too much here. Instead, he does get stunned by that heart bomb. Taking a little bit of poke for his troubles here. Jingwei's still pretty healthy. He does find a good knockup onto Dragonman's there, but Athena Taunt will cut that aggression off at the source. Now we have an invade into the jungle of Quantum here as Dinklebergs have found themselves some good pressure in that mid lane. They aren't going to be able to secure that away. Steals it nicely. Merlin picks it up, and they are taking the safe pathing back. But here is Hard Stepdad looking to intercept, but not able to quite find anything there. As that is one of Jormungandr's weaknesses. He doesn't have a lot of CC. He doesn't bring the same lockdown potential as other Guardians do.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely not a hard CC Guardian in that aspect. I mean, he has a lot of CC, it just isn't very on command. He has the little knock up, he's got the little tremor, whatever you want to call it.
Ooh. Get Fragbo actually dashes through the wave there, puts himself a little bit out of position. So a little bit surprised the Goose didn't decide to try to punish that a little bit more, as he was kind of a free pick there, but Quantum Solo Laner does get away with it and is back under his tower, farming away as Nike now takes the first totem of coup for this set. We'll turn our attention back towards the mid lane a little bit as we see Merlin has gotten himself a slight lead over Scylla, about one level right now. Could be a little bit closer than that as Scylla's working on clearing up this wave, but that is the advantage that the red invade will give you. Now we have bots over in the solo lane, possibly looking to jump in here on this blue buff that has both the solo and the jungler on it. Looks like the Get Fragbo didn't quite recognize what was happening and started to recall, but ended up getting stopped and managed to find his way out.
And another thing we see here is Nike opted for Blink rather than teleport there. So if she's forced to back early, that's going to be very difficult for her. She's going to lose at least a wave to tower.
Yeah, looks like it's not affecting her too harshly just yet. She has been able to maintain pressure. Ooh, hard step dad could be misstepping here a little bit. Takes a lot of damage. He is stunned. This could be a first blood. And that is indeed gonna be Mystery Rabbit picking up the first blood for the side of Dinklebergs. Just a little bit too aggressive with that knockup. Stepped a little bit out of position. But against a Cupid and an Athena, they have a lot of damage, a lot of lockdown, and you can't afford to put yourself out like that. And they punished him very nicely. And the Eclipse comes through from Merlin, not quite connecting with too much of the wave or Scylla, but that's okay because it's mostly just archers left over, and they're going to be able to clean those up with basic. Scylla dashes away back to the safety of her tower, as Merlin will now rotate to most probably a back camp. Now things kind of fall into a little bit of a lull here, as Jormungandr has rotated into the mid lane, and most likely been spotted by this Merlin at this point. That's going to let Suttles have some solo farm here. And a little bit more than Dragonman's is going to get, as Athena is still lurking in the side here, but might be looking for a gank. It does dash in as the Fields of Love come down. Now Jingui's very low, does find the airstrike out, and she does survive with just a sliver of health. But who's that lurking in the jungle? It's Gino coming in with a big blink, finding the kill, securing that one for the team.
Great. That's going to be hard to come back from, too. That's two early deaths in that duo lane.
Yeah, thankfully, it is split between the carry and the support, so not quite as bad as having it both on one. Jingwei thankfully able to get back to lane a little bit quicker than most other carries. Totem of Ku being fought over a little bit here as Get Fragbro is trying to put the pressure onto the Goose, and here is Shadow Demon trying to put the pressure on as well, but not quite finding that Prana onslaught. Has to rotate back into the jungle. But Get Fragbro is not afraid to continue the aggression. However, he is knocked back by the Goose's barrier. Now Shadow Demon is trying to find a blue invade, but here is Gino, not really willing to give that one up just yet. However, it looks like it does go their way. Get Fragbo is still on this Nike, and there is Shadow Demon picking up the kill, but Fear No Evil comes through, pushes them towards tower. Now Mystery Rabbit is here locking down Shadow Demon. Big Taunt locks him down for the kill, and it is Get Fragbo dangerously low under tower. Mystery Rabbit looks like they might be going for a dive here as the back is started up, and they do go in. They find the damage, but here is Gino. It looks like this is going to be a kill. Gino does find it, but Get Fragbo was able to survive for just long enough to get a return kill onto Mystery Rabbit. And now Jormungandr is coming through. The World Serpent is here. Finds one knockup onto Gino, but it's not going to be enough. He's still got speed buff, and he is on his way out. The Goose has already returned, even without teleport, and that is going to be the end of that chase. Very nicely done by Dinklebergs there to split that up. I think Quantum stayed a little bit too long in that solo lane. I don't think it was necessary for Get Fragbro to continue fighting the Goose there. He was very low on mana already, wasn't the healthiest himself, and sure, they pick up the kill, but they lose quite a bit for it. They lose 2 kills themselves, and now the scoreboard is 2-4 in favor of Dinkleberg still.
Yeah, I mean, I think they just underestimated the power of the Athena there, you know? She had the ult in, gave him the damage mitigation, had the bit of CC to be able to chase him under tower, and I think
ooh, big really taunt coming through. That's going to be a huge amount of damage. Now Merlin's in fire stance looking for Scylla. He is throwing the radiate out behind. A monster comes through, forces the beads out, and she is still alive with just barely a sliver of health there. Very narrow escapes on both sides so far. Now they are going to be just rotating back into their jungles here, continuing to farm. Now Spartan does still have about a level lead on Scylla, and that's only going to continue to grow as he's left to push this wave. And Scylla is unfortunately in base, not able to get her own farm. That leaves Stepdad to try to hold this wave. Now they're looking for an invade into the jungle. Unfortunately, not able to find anything as the red buff is not up just yet. Shadow Demon and Hard Stepdad in mid lane together. Radiate comes through, but that's a good Sikkim locking him down, but a bigger taunt comes through to break up the aggression. Now Merlin goes right back into the ice stance, and he's ready to continue this fight. However, it doesn't look like Quantum is too eager to chase it. Instead, Demon is going to go over to these mid camps, secure those for his team. That'll help him stay even. And I think it's important to note here, even though he's a kill down and has a death, he is still only like half a level behind Gino. He is not doing too bad right now.
No, he's keeping up pretty well for the circumstances. And a big thing we're seeing right now in the solo lane is Guan being able to out-pressure the Nike because he opted for defense before the sledge.
He is able to get that clear going for himself there. Nike, like you said, was back in base, but take a look at the ward coverage as well. Dinklebergs have quite a bit on that side of the map there. It's going to be very hard for Quantum to do anything over there without being spotted out. And that's going to make ganks very easy for Gino to commit to over there. And now, in fact, they're stealing away the red buff again. That goes the way of Dinklebergs, and doesn't look like Quantum realized it in time to sniff it out, even though they had a ward right there. Now there might actually be a small skirmish happening as Athena is being aggressed on by Jormungandr. Merlin also over there as Robin is rotating in as well. It's a good taunt onto Robin, but a great backflip. Now Gino's jumping in, looking to put some damage onto Shadow Demon. World Serpent is started up, is going in onto Mystery Rabbit, and they continue on to Merlin, but the fight has already been broken up. Jormungandr actually goes in deeper. Fear No Evil all the way over in the left lane there. And now Hard Stepdad actually has found his way out with that stealth. A little bit surprising to me as I saw the rest of Dinklebergs coming in on him there. But now Dinklebergs have rotated to this left side as a 5-man unit, essentially, here. And they've got a lot of pressure. Now Dragonmans does find the kill onto Suttles there. Now Shadow Demon in a lot of trouble. Good backflip will get away from that stance switch, but the Radiate damage is pouring through. Jormungandr is still very low. Shadow Demon also low. They don't have anywhere to go, but Dinklebergs are rotating back into their jungle. But it's Gino is not ready to give up, putting out a lot of damage onto Shadow Demon as now the first tower does fall. That's the tier 1 in left lane. And that does give them a path to retreat. And Hard Stepdad and Shadow Demon will get to keep their lives today. However, Get Frag Bro is pretty much saying exactly that to these minions over in the right lane. Get fragged. They are not going to be having a good time. Good stun onto Axel Oblivion, but unfortunately gets the dash off in time, so there's no follow-up to be had there. Well,
yeah, I mean that was definitely a good call for Dinklebergs all to collapse on that left lane. I mean it gained them what, 2 kills? 1 kill.
1
kill and the tower.
And a tier 1 tower.
I mean, I do think they could have went for gold there. They had the pressure. They knew that Get Fragged was still on the right side of the map, but they just kept pushing into that tier 2 tower instead of really going for it.
Yeah, looking a little bit for kills there, but now the red buff is up again, and guess who's there? It's Gino, and he's just going to take that away for the 3rd time this game. And he is going to get it for free as Hard Stepdad just doesn't have the damage to really contest it there. But with Guan Yu being able to just push these waves over into the right lane, that's given them a fair bit of pressure over there. Roller, do you think they need to adjust their game plan at all to deal with this guy?
I mean, with that extra pressure of having that tower down, I mean, he's going to be able to rotate pretty soon, while the Nike has to just kind of stay there to keep him in check. So I'd love to see some ganks over there to, help with that momentum just a little bit. I mean, he is level 13. He's tied for highest level in the game with the Cupid, so definitely a threat over there, and he's just farming for free right now.
Now Robin rotating into this mid lane, trying to look for Spartan there, but instead forced out as the taunt just peels him away. He just has to go back to the jungling, trying to get some farm, but there are some members of Dinklebergs very close, but our Stepdad is here to try to peel him off. Heart Bomb does not connect. That will get Jormungandr out of that one, but it looks like he's actually still keeping up the aggression, just trying to push them away. And it looks like these teams might actually be starting to posture for Gold Fury a little bit here. Merlin forced out the flicker. Does have to use the bees as Scylla finds the Sikkim. Now World Serpent has started up, but it's going to be used defensively, just pulling himself out of danger there. And all the way back to the tier 1 towers, the Dinklebergs now rotate in full force to this Gold Fury, and they are starting it right on up. And look at this, no one from Quantum is here to respond. They're just passing it around like candy, and the Fury will indeed be taken for free.
Yeah, and I think that's just a huge misplay there, not having any wards on Gold Fury. I mean, it's 13 minutes in. After that 10-minute mark, that Gold Fury needs to be warded at all times when it's up. No exceptions. So that's just kind of just bad warding there.
Well, I think they knew it was happening. I mean, they saw them rotating over to it, but they had over-aggressed and took a little bit too much damage to the point where Scylla and Jormungandr didn't have anything available to go in at. Now, Gino caught a little bit there by Sikkim. Here's Robin looking for the kill. Does find it. I'm a Monster is primed and ready. Finds good damage coming down. And now here is Guan Yu on the horse looking for something more. Mystery Rabbit is the one in danger as he's knocked up by Hard Stepdad. But that just keeps on going. Shadow Demon finds himself a second kill there. And the aggression is full on from Quantum. But here's Merlin and Dragonmen's ready to pour it right back on him. But damn, look at the damage from Scylla. Does manage to find Merlin there. Dragonman is not ready to give it up, though. Finds himself a double kill there. And that's going to be a triple kill onto the goal.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good fight from both sides. Quantum had that great engage, but they got a little greedy. They chased down too many kills, and they got return killed for it. 3 for 3.
Yeah, they had a very, very solid engagement there. Managed to turn it their way, found themselves a kill, found themselves a tower, but the tower was found a little bit late into that, and they had been diving for quite some time. About the time Spartan and Dragonmen's rotate in, I think that's the point where you need to just call it off and get out of there. Granted, they did manage to find a kill onto Spartan for Scylla there. And they have actually closed the level or the gold up a little bit. However, being able to take the pyro just puts it right back in favor of Dinklebergs again. Hard Stepdad caught sleeping a little bit there as he gets caught by quite a bit of damage. Air raid comes down, and so does Athena. The Fields of Love are also here. Jingwei is desperately searching for a way out. World Serpent comes through to disrupt Dragonmen's, finding Settles a way out, and now here is Axel Oblivion as well. Now I'm a Monster is primed and ready. Does not quite find Dragonmen's as he dashed away. Does put some damage onto Mystery Rabbit, but not quite what they were looking for there. Now Shadow Demon is here looking for the kill onto Dragonmen's. I'm not sure he's going to find it, though, as he's right there on top of Mystery Rabbit. The Athena is more than willing to taunt him away, and indeed does manage to save Dragonmen's life, and he's able to just flutter on out of there nice and free. Here's Spartan again, rotating around. But it looks like Scylla might be trying to catch Gino on the rotation as well. Now, Cavalry has come out as Guan Yu is going in, but Gino, for his part, has found the kill onto Suttles, but that's not going to stop Axel Oblivion from returning the favor onto Spartan. Now the aggression continues from Hard Stepdad, but now the Goose is right there on Axel Oblivion. Does manage to find an up and down, but it's going to be Gino who's credited with the kill. Now they're both very low. Gino managed to find himself a jump out, and that's going to split up the attention as Shadow Demon does actually find the kill onto Mystery Rabbit there. Now he's trying to rotate around as well, but Dragonmen's is on his way. Sure, Gino and the Goose are low, but Dragonmen's is very healthy. But Brada Onslaught is going to pick up the kill onto the Goose, and now Dragonmen's is the one in trouble. Get Fragbro's right on his tail, more than willing to go under this tower, but Hard Stepdad wasn't super sure about it, but the Aegis is forced out as well as the Fields of Love. Spartan is rotating back in as well now, respawning. Good dash will get Guan Yu out of the Eclipse damage there and away from the Vortex as well. I mean, now we have Athena ulting back in. The aggression just keeps on going, Ruler. I'm not sure this is really the call anymore. The fight is over. Let it be. What are you fighting over at this point?
I mean, right now, everybody just seems to be hunting for kills. I mean, they're not really looking to ward up those objectives. We see, a couple wards around fire, a couple wards around that gold that's coming up soon, but not a whole lot you really need to fight for here.
I mean, at this point, we've got 18 kills in 18 and a half minutes. The bloodlust is strong, but I gotta tell you, I'm loving the energy in this match so far. Neither team is willing to give the other an inch. Now, even the mid camps are being kind of contested there as Scylla was looking to find some damage. Dashes over the wall, but might find herself in a bad spot there as 3 members of the Dinklebergs are right there. Now they're rotating around as the Oni Fury is coming up. Aegis and Beach are forced, but they're a little bit early, and that's going to be an easy kill for Dragon Men's. And now the Oni Fury has Nike on it. Looks like they might be positioning to go over there as well, but guess who's here? It's Get Fragbro in the back line, but not able to find too much disruption just yet. But he does stop this Gold Fury from being started up. A little surprising to see Merlin spending so much time in this fire stance. Is a good taunt's gonna pull Hard Stepdad in, forces out the World Serpent, and he's gonna have to ult out defensively now. And that's gonna be a big tool taken away. Look at his health bar. It basically doesn't even exist right now.
Yeah, and that's going to give him a ton of pressure onto that Gold Fury.
Still though,
What is that, an Oni Fury?
That is an Oni Fury. I would really like to see this Merlin spend a little bit less time in the fire stance. It's easily the most dangerous stance as it has the shortest range. He is just going to keep on going here. And now it looks like Suttles might be caught out here. Airstrike is forced out, but it looks like he's going the wrong way. Has to come back down in danger, and that's going to be a kill for Spartan. I'm a Monster does the up and down as Get Fragbo has managed to find the kill onto Gino. But this is still very heavily in Dinkleberg's favors. The Fields of Love come down. Heart Bomb is good, and that's going to secure the kill indeed as she gets back to the Tier 2 tower. Dragonman's, though, in some trouble as Grit Fragbro is aggressing onto him, and now Hard Stepdad is also here. And Shadow Demon also blinking in to try to find the kill. And Giant has just been left to the wolves, but a good stun's giving him a little bit of pressure. And here's Mystery Rabbit with a great taunt, peeling it away, giving himself up for the sake of Dragonmans, who does actually get out of this one. But Mystery Rabbit not so lucky. Nike, for her part, has found her own kill onto Shadow Demon. And now Get Fragro has finally taken out Mystery Rabbit, who was more than willing to take that trade. I mean, that's what you want to see from your support right there. That selflessness to just come in at their own expense and get that carry out. He's 6-0. You don't want him shut down. Great all-around play from Mystery Rabbit on that one.
For sure. I mean, that's what you need, He knew that he was going to die for that play. He said, I don't care. I'm getting my carry out of this. I need him to carry this team. And carry he is. He is 6-0 right now. He's huge. He's got his fully stacked rage.
Yeah, and now we have 24 kills in 22 minutes. So the bloodlust is not subsiding at all. And now we see Grit Fragro is actually aggressing onto its Geno in his own jungle, trying to find something there, but unfortunately not much there. Pyromancer is up right now. I'm surprised neither of these teams are rotating towards it, especially Quantum, who had good positioning for it there. But now Get Fragbro's aggression might be punished here as 3 members of the Dinklebergs come in. That's some great positioning from Merlin abilities there, cutting off that escape route and just pouring out the damage. Athena looking for more as it's hops on in, Taunt comes down, but the World Serpent is forced out. Fields of Love come down, but they aren't able to find too much. Subtle is trying to put some damage into Dragonmen's right now, but Airstrike is forced out instead, but the Goose is right on his tail. Talk about a bird fight. Now the aggression is entirely coming from Dinklebergs as they just keep pouring it on under this tier 1 tower. Fear No Evil doesn't quite find what they were looking for, but Hard Step Dad is very low at this point, just barely hanging on, and Athena is looking for him. Dragonmen is going to be able to find that kill. Now they're diving a tier 2 tower for a double kill for Dragonmen. Is it going to be another triple kill? No. Gino is going to take that one, and this should be a dead tier 2 tower now. And I would expect to see some attention turn towards this Pyromancer or even the Fire Giant.
Yeah, I mean, right now they have the health bars and the pressure for that Fire Giant, and it looks like they do realize it. They're going to at least get one of those 2 objectives.
Yeah, I like this one. It is the Fire Giant being started up here. I appreciate the information. I will make sure to correct that in future speaking. So, to relay, I've been corrected on a minor issue here, but put that aside, Dragonmen's now divine on the Fire Giant fight, and it does in fact go the way of Dinklebergs. Not too surprising there, as Suttles is taken down by Gino as well here. And now the aggression is subsiding slightly in favor of pushing these waves, and honestly, look at Dragonmen's. He's just soloing the Pyromancer now because they have so much pressure everywhere on the map. He knows he can do it. He knows he can get that extra pressure for his team, that extra gold in their pockets, takes it away from Quantum, which is arguably the most important factor.
For sure. And I mean, it's showing. I mean, they're getting those objectives. They're having those wards down, and I think that Dinklebergs is really just running it at this point. They have the lead that they need to be able to take fights under tower, so it's going to be very hard for Quantum to stop the momentum here.
Yeah, now Dinklebergs are about 11,000 gold up. So definitely very much in their favor right now. It's going to be very hard for Quantum to fight into this. And at this point, I think they just need to kind of turtle under these Phoenixes, give up those tier 2 towers. The defense on them isn't looking great right now. Just let them have them and just reinforce your defense on the Phoenix line, because that's where you need to be looking. You can't be taking fights out in the middle of the map. You definitely can't be caught rotating between these Phoenix or tower lines, and you definitely can't be caught doing oracles like right now. World Serpent is forced out already, and now this looks like a free Primal Fury for the boys in red. And, at this point, Quantum just has to be shaking their fists. Dinklebergs! Because they have just been running it.
I'm not laughing at that joke. I can't.
Dino will.
I know. But nobody can hear Dino laugh at it. It's not fair.
They know he would do it anyway. The tier 2 tower will indeed fall to Dinklebergs, and they will continue the aggression onto this Phoenix line, as Hard Step Dad is a little bit caught out in no man's land there, and now Mystery Rabbit's just going to dash right on in. The Goose also jumping in onto Scylla on the back there, and the fight is started up outside that Phoenix line. That's not where you want it. Fear No Evil comes down. It's Gino picking up a kill there, and now the aggression is entirely in favor of Dinklebergs as Mystery Rabbit picks up her 3rd kill of this game. Airstrike is forced out. Now she's sitting up in the air trying to figure out where to go down. It's a little bit close for my liking, and the aggression just keeps on coming under this throne room now as they just bypass the Phoenix completely. Gino, though, jumping back out, turning their attention back towards this Phoenix, and Dragonmen's does finally get that one down for him. Now, that was a great assault onto that Phoenix line. They've still got Fire Giant, and they're turning their attention towards this mid Phoenix now as well. And frankly, I don't think Quantum has a great shot at defending this. Sure, they've got both damage dealers, but they're not the healthiest, and that's all they have is the 2 squishies. Crush does not connect, but here's Hard Step Down, finally back up and ready to assist. Mystery Rabbit, though, is able to get out of this one, and Dragonmen will take that Phoenix down as well. Now, I think this is where Dinklebergs should be calling it off, and they are indeed retreating back up the lane as minions start attacking the Titan of Quantum. Ruler, let's take a quick look at the player damage charts that are pulled up here. Merlin, 20,093 damage. That's a lot of player damage. But
That's a
you know
lot
what's
of
also impressive?
damage.
Cupid at 20,005 damage, just barely under. These two are neck and neck for damage dealt for their team. And really, that's exactly what you want to see from your two carries, from your two backliners, whose biggest job is to be putting out that massive amount of damage. And I don't think I've ever seen two backliners have that close of damage on the same team.
Yeah, and then in last place we see the Jing Wei with just over 6,000 damage. Not even a third of the Cupid's damage, which is very disconcerting here.
Yeah,
She's just not able to get that damage off before she's blown up.
yeah. Unfortunately, Subtle's just not been able to find his damage in these fights. And you'll see a lot of it has to do with this massive lead that Nike and Mystery Rabbit have. Just diving in, not afraid of anything, just pressuring out Subtles. And the thing is, if Subtles doesn't just ult out and get away, use everything to just keep his life, then he just dies and doesn't do damage anyway. It's really kind of a lose-lose situation for him. The best option he has is trying to burn everything to keep his life, but even that's not working out very well because of how much dive Dinklebergs has and how much lockdown they have. And now it's going to be the Fire Giant, once again started up by Dinklebergs, taken down very easily without a fight. And I don't know about you, but I think this is a game-ending push they're about to look at. And BAM! Subtles is taken out in an instant by Dragon Men's. The Goose is chasing down Shadow Demon. It's Gino has barely gotten out with his life. The World Serpent is coming up, and it is going to be used defensively. Gino will keep his life today. But look at the minions pouring in from the left side and down mid lane as well. Fire in both sides. And now Dinglebergs can easily turn their attention towards this right lane, take down that tier 2, and either look at that last Phoenix or just go straight for the Titan itself. Now, it is going to be hard for them to do a Titan push, as both Merlin and Gino have had to back, but this tower will give them the time they need to regroup here. Subtle should be back up by the time they're aggressing into the Titan, and more importantly, he has much less distance to cover and a much faster way of doing it than Merlin or Gino. And indeed, he is up right now, ready to assist in this defense. Still a little bit behind, but ready to do what he can.
Yeah, and I mean we see these fire waves pouring in on the left and the middle lanes. You know, that's gonna split that focus away from that right Phoenix, and it should allow them to get that right Phoenix pretty easily.
Ooh, I'm a monster, not quite finding the kill they was looking for, but Gino says no problem, this is how it's done, and just picks Axel Oblivion off. But here is Shadow Demon, taking out the Monkey Demon, and that is going to be a great pick for them. And it is actually going to let their left side Phoenix get back up, but at what cost? You have to ask. When that cost is indeed the right side Phoenix, but it could be worse. It could even be a Titan, as they are now aggressing into the throne room. Airstrike comes out and down, back into the fountain goes Subtles. Finds a knockup onto Mystery Rabbit. They're trying to pump out some damage to keep this Titan alive. The Titan is willing to fight for it as well. Get Fragro is trying to push them off, but they're taking so much damage. Look how low he is already. Sure, the Titan isn't falling very quickly, but Get Fragro has fallen, and Spartan now has a double kill, and Settles is the only one to defend it. I don't know that he can do it. He's disarmed, and the Titan is getting so low now, it's gonna fall indeed. Dinklebergs take game number 1. What a great showing from Dragon Men's on that Cupid. 10, 0, and 10. And don't let the scoreboard fool you. Merlin doing quite a bit of work with that 26,000 damage as well, despite only being 3, 2, and 9. And honestly, this was just great teamwork all around from Dinklebergs. And I think the biggest moment to highlight in that match was Mystery Rabbit's sacrifice to get Dragon Men's out of that terrible situation he found himself in.
Yeah, that get down Mr. President at that mid fight was great. I mean, I can't take anything away from that. I mean, she got Dragon Men's to 10-0. You know, did not get killed a single time.
Now, Quantum will have to claw their way back in from a little bit of a hard defeat there. Found themselves on the back foot quite a lot. They'd had some great showings, though. They had a couple of really good fights where they looked like they would come out on top, but just took it a little bit too far and ended up giving up more than they needed to. And also, to clarify the odd break during Fire Giant, I have been informed that I should not be referring to Mr. Rabbit as a male, as it is a female. So, my apologies for that. But now, Ruler, as we head into game number 2, what do you think Quantum need to adjust and kind of sort out in order to take a victory here?
I think they really need to look into that duo lane. I mean, Jingwei just got absolutely out pressured. Yorm wasn't really able to do quite enough. And I mean, Dragonman's, I mean, he never went down. He never got that major gank off. He never got behind. So I think you really need to look at taking him down.
Yeah, most definitely. If anytime the carry is going X and O, generally not the greatest for your team. Now, do you think it might have had anything to do with their team comp? Because, like we mentioned earlier, Jormungandr doesn't have a lot of lockdown. He doesn't have a lot of peel. Maybe going a more traditional Guardian in that role would help them keep their carries alive, get some peel going, and keep these fights going in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, the Dorm was playing pretty well. I mean, he got that early first death, but I don't think he was playing terribly. I mean, it just seemed like they weren't targeting the right people. They were chasing kills. They weren't warding objectives. I don't want to say that like the unorthodox pick really ruined them there.
Definitely not ruined, but maybe gave up a little bit too much in the team fights while they were getting dove. But definitely need to work on that objective control, kind of focus in on that, make sure they're not just letting these free objectives go. We saw, I think, 3 or 4 just free objectives go the way of Dinklebergs when they really didn't have to.
Yeah, I mean, after they got that, first Gold Fury, they just kind of started to snowball, and Quantum just wasn't really able to get those wards out there far enough to be able to contest on the vision around those objectives, I think.
And what's actually quite interesting to me is that Dinklebergs did not opt for any kind of anti-heal, despite being against the Guan Yu and having some healing from Jing Wei as well. But we'll put that aside for now as we head back into picks and bans. This time we will be seeing both teams on the same sides as they were in the first game. That is Dinklebergs on the Chaos/Red side and Quantum Order/Blue side. And unsurprisingly, Athena is the first one taken off the board. I'm not surprised at all because that looked really good. And oh, what's this? A Cupid ban? Well, if that dual lane was that dominant, why not just take it away from them? See what else they can play.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. The Cupid and the Athena were great in that duo lane, so taking those two out is definitely understandable going into this next game. And they do take out the Ravana, a respect ban of
Mm-hmm.
their own for Shadow Demon there.
Yeah, he definitely looked very good on it. And we will see the third targeted ban, Hoonbots, taken off the table. But with all these target bans, this leaves quite a bit of the top meta picks still on board. Cthulhu will be taken away by Dinklebergs, who do not have first pick. But I mean, Oleron, Nemesis, as we now see getting picked on the board. And I would really like to see an Oleron being picked up by the Dinklebergs here, just to make sure that Quantum can't get it after leaving it open. We've seen Habois covered here, and I like this as a first pick. It's got good flex potential, but if you pick the Merlin, that pretty much signals Habois is indeed gonna be in the jungle, and there is now no flex in that pick at all.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen Dr. Phil play. I mean, anybody can go in any role, according to them at least.
Yeah, well, they also played Loki, so I don't know
Exactly.
what
I
else to
mean,
say.
anything can go in any role. Case in point.
Now we see Nike and Isis being picked up. Isis, not one of the top picks right now, but not exactly weak. She does have a little bit of a weakness to being interrupted during her one. So it's interesting that she's decided to pick it into Merlin and Habwa, and now an Izanami, who can also silence her out of it as well. So might be a little bit of a risky pick here in the mid lane, but we will see how it goes as we head into the second phase of picks and bans. And I gotta say, I'm kind of liking what Quantum has drafted so far. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of Merlin, but I like the Nemesis Nike Isis that Quantum has going for them. It's got a lot of good potential for their team fights, and it has some flex potential as well, as Nike could be solo or support even. We do see Oleron is once again taken out in these second phase of bans, and the support will once again get hit with some target bans there. Ganesh and Geb both taken off the table, making it a total of 3 bans. As we see Ratatosker now selected, and I would assume that it's Ratatosker solo ruler, but have you considered it could be a Ratatosker support?
I mean, I'm not saying rat support is amazing, but rat support exists.
It's kind of amazing. And that is certainly an interesting pick that immediately turns my favor towards the draft of Dinklebergs, as Artemis is now locked in for the side of Quantum. Now, Ruler, I don't I don't like this. I don't like this decision at all.
What don't you like?
Artemis is an extremely immobile god who is very susceptible to being ganked.
Yeah,
And
and
if
they
Subtle's
have
had a
a
bad
rat
time on the
in the Hebo.
Jingwei, then I don't imagine he's going to have a very great time on the Artemis, especially with, like you mentioned, Ratatosker and Habwa on the other side. Ratatosker is going to be able to get to Artemis very easily in fights, and there's going to be nothing she can do to get away from it except ult and hope the CC immunity eats the knockup. But then she still has to deal with the stun.
Yeah, I mean, that is strong in a team fight, though, you know? You're inside an Odin cage, there's 3 of you there, you're all getting stunned by Artemis ult. There's the big old Isis ult popping. You got the Nike ult. I mean, that's a huge team fight there.
If she survives long enough in it, which was a bit of a problem in the last game, and that was with airstrike and the Jingwei dash in her favor. Now with a Yamoja also in that duo lane, that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of lockdown, and frankly, that's also a really good counter to the Odin. If he tries to lock you in that cage, Yamoja can easily just turn and throw up the River's Rebuke. And what does your team do now with that Odin cage? Well, nothing. They pretty much just have to wait for that wall to come down, at which point someone has already burned at least one Odin wall and either gotten out or just killed the Odin. So personally, I'm gonna have to favor the Dinklebergs draft on this one. But if Quantum can prove me wrong, I would be very happy to see it. I would love to see Subtle show me how Artemis is truly played and what a master of the god can do with her.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Quantum pull some stuff off in this game, too. I mean, I am just a little bit biased, you know? Kind of our little league team going on. Same coaches and whatnot, so hopefully they can pull out a win here. Get it to game 3 at least.
And we will see what they're capable of rather shortly here. I do like the Isis ult with the Odin cage. I think that's a good combination. But I still don't see a ton of great team fight from the side of Quantum right now. It looks like they're really relying on the Odin cage to get a big lock in. But if that doesn't happen, or if Odin gets blown up early, or he has to burn the ult to make an escape for himself, then I don't know that Quantum has a lot to bring to the fights. After that, it's looking mostly like Nemesis trying to find a pick and maybe turning to an objective to burn that and force a fight there in their favor. Now, on the side of Dinklebergs, of course, we do have that double mage going with Merlin and Habois, both kind of squishier gods, and Habois a little bit of a riskier pick. Doesn't have a ton of mobility, but not as bad of a matchup into Nemesis as one might immediately assume, as he does have that slow immunity on his 2, which is going to be able to get him away from the Nemesis 2 a little bit easier and make it harder for her to chase. He also has that knockup, which will negate her shield if he lands it. So I think the jungle is about an even matchup. But as the resident jungler ruler, I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
I mean, early game, Nemesis definitely has the edge. It takes Hebo a couple items to really get online and be able to pump out those huge damage numbers. So I think until, level 6 or 7, Nemesis is going to be just a little bit stronger in the jungle.
Yeah, she's absolutely going to want to try to push that early advantage she has. Maybe look for some invades. We saw Dinklebergs doing a lot of red invades in the last game, so maybe we can see Shadow Demon try to turn that around on them and get his own pressure in their jungle going. Let's see, fairly standard starts coming out from both ends here. We do see a slight difference in support opinions, as we see Hard Stepdad has gone for multi-pots rather than the more traditional health pots. Personally, I prefer the health pots, but I can see why maybe you would want a little bit more mana sustain as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be throwing out your poke as Nike a lot, you can opt for those multi-pots to have that sustain. And I mean, on the other side, you have your Moja. She doesn't have mana. So definitely an advantage to have health potions there.
And we do see a slight difference in carry opinions as well, as it seems Izanami will be going for the Transcendence, as Settles will be going for the Dev Gauntlets. And now some early poke going on to Dragon Men's there. That could turn things a little bit in the favor of Quantum, as it's not often you get that kind of pressure, but early beads forced out from Subtles there already, as Mystery Rabbit is able to find a good stun onto the Artemis.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw Hard Stepdad trying to body block there, but that's an Izanami. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
That's not going to help you.
And now Subtle is taking a little bit more damage as he steps into another stun coming out of Yamoja, who is now thankfully low on Omi and not able to put out the same aggression. Nemesis is now trying to put some aggression into the mid lane. Does find a little poke onto Habois, but Habois finds a good knockup onto her as well. Now it will be the red buff secured by both sides on their own this time, not having to worry about it being stolen away as it had been in the last game. Now we see some more pressure coming from this Yamoja and Izanami, but here is Shadow Demon ready to put the pressure back on them. He does force out the shell. Very nicely done. Very little committed to that. He's able to just walk away from it.
Mikey almost dying to minions there. Those archer minions do quite a bit of damage in this early game. Gotta watch out.
Yeah, definitely gotta be careful of those. They aren't chumps. Now Ice is able to find maybe a stun onto Merlin, but just a little bit late on the activation of that. But here is Habois rotating in. Could be Actual Oblivion in a bad spot. Blink comes down, but a good silence is going to cut the aggression off shortly. And he does manage to keep his life, but not against Spartan, who does fight a great vortex and force the beads out. So that is a huge win for the Dinklebergs in the mid lane. Finding not only a first blood, but also beads. You gotta love it.
Yeah, now here we see a matchup that I'm sure Dino would love to talk about if he was talking here.
Yeah, I do believe Dino got to play this one himself, and he was saying that he was really thrilled to be facing Odin as Ratatoskr. I think he said it was his favorite matchup in the world.
Yeah, I think he really loved it. I think he said that
Oh,
Rat is just a hard counter to Odin.
yeah, look at his camera is like shaking. He's so excited to see it again.
Yeah.
But here comes Shadow Demon onto the Goose, looking for some aggression. The Goose has no mana, but here is it's Gino rotating around. And it looks like Shadow Demon might have realized it, but Fragbo still stepping up a little aggressively. Or he is going to be called back, and they're going to do the Totem of Coup, which is probably more important anyway.
Again, we see a lot of poke onto hard stepdad, and I mean it's gonna be hard to make a whole lot of progress in that duo lane with the emoji heals. So
Yeah,
definitely gonna be a rough early game there.
Quantum's going to need some anti-heal online as soon as possible there. Vortex not quite connecting, neither does Spirit Ball, but the Eclipse is going to put some poke out onto Axel Oblivion. Now we see pressure is trying to be made in mid lane. Axel is trying to do everything he can to get this minion wave pushing in his favor. As Dinklebergs are now at their red buff.
Yeah, I mean it looks like Dinklebergs aren't looking for that huge aggression they had last game. I mean maybe realizing that they have the Hebo in the early game. He hasn't quite come online yet, so got to be a little bit more careful with him.
Yet they don't have quite the same team fight capabilities as they did in game number one. Still have quite a bit, don't get it wrong, but they don't have that big team ultimate coming out of the jungle in the early game. But here's Nemesis trying to put some more aggression onto Merlin, but a good flicker gets him right on out of there, and nothing too much happening just yet. Now almost 5 minutes in, still only one kill on the board. Gino, though, looking for Subtles. Bees are forced out again, and the Crushy Wave does find him. Now it could be Hard Stepdad who's in some trouble. The River's Rebuke comes through, but Nike is able to jump out of there, and he does not fall to the walls this time. The water will not wash him away. He's far too hard for that. Now we see some attention maybe being turned towards this Gold Fury. Only 5 minutes in, but posturing around it. No, they are in fact going to go their separate ways here. Go grab purple buff, maybe get some farm on our side of the jungle, maybe recall for Habwa, or even take speed buff and then go back. Now the Goose could be in some trouble here, as Shadow Demon does find the first kill for Quantum on the blue buff of Dinklebergs, simultaneously stealing it away.
And that's going to be a big death for the Goose without that teleport again, opting for that blink again.
Yeah, that's a huge turn in favor of Quantum there. And they were starting to lose a little bit of ground there, but that kill gets them back to about even, gets their solo laner an advantage. And if you get your solo laner an advantage early, usually he should be able to push it and abuse it as much as possible. Vortex not quite connecting, but neither does Spirit Ball. Now Gino finding a good knockup. The water cannon does connect, and now Merlin's trying to radiate some damage. The burn is good. It will take Isis out of this fight, and now Hard Stepdad just has to step away. Now we have both supports turning up in the mid lane, but not for long, because Quantum have now found their opportunity to make a red buff invade. It is good. They find it, and Shadow Demon has got to be feeling pretty good about himself right now, but Hard Stepdad taking a little bit of aggressive pathing there. Not sure where he's going. He's hanging around for a very long time here. Now he's being pushed back into its Geno by Mysterious Rabbit. Is forced to jump away and greatly overstayed his welcome in that one. He's lucky to get out with his life.
I mean, it's Nike with ult. I mean, Yamoja and Hebo are going to have a very hard time killing him.
Even
I
so,
do
you
think
don't
that
want to
he
be
was,
burning your
just
ultimate
taking
like
some
that.
pressure there.
No, the stun comes out from Suttles. That is an ultimate down. Stops Gino from completing the gank. And here is Shadow Demon trying to turn it around. Ultimate comes out. It's Gino very low. And there is ultimate. Stepdad Sentinel of Zeus is good. Knockup doesn't quite find Dragon Men's, but Suttles sure does. And that is going to turn things a little bit in favor of Quantum now. Ties up the kills, but puts them slightly ahead in gold.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a great counter engage from Quantum. I mean, they were in the right place at the right time, you know. Artemis stayed alive using the ult, and they were able to turn that fight.
Now, interestingly, we see Merlin is going for a Doom Orb as his first item. Not one you usually see on someone like Merlin, but I'm not sure that I hate it.
I
I'm not
mean,
the
it did
biggest
just
fan.
get buffed in a way, you know, they did reduce the cost on it, made it, I want to say, 150 gold cheaper, something like
Yep.
that. And
So
I mean, you
maybe,
know, if you're looking to get those, you know, early to mid game rotations off, it's the item to do it, you know? I mean, he has that farm lead, he has 2 levels from those 2 kills, and I think he's just looking to hard farm, and that's really going to let him get across the map to do it.
yeah, it has indeed been working out for him here.
We see
Now we
this
see
big
Frag
fight
Bro
over
going
in
in on
solo.
the Goose. Oh, waits just a little bit too long for that jump there. Doesn't connect with the shield damage, and that is going to let the Goose survive. But for how long is the question? A good
That's
blink
his blink.
says for this long, as he does get under the safety of that tier 2 tower.
And I mean, we see this Odin just dominating this lane.
Now we see Shadow Demon going in on Gino, but Crushing Wave takes him very low. Sentinel of Zeus comes out to make sure no more aggression comes out. But here is Izanami. Dragon Men's has no breaks, but he does have a stun that he has actually avoided, so no need to worry about that. Now Hard Stepdad very low. He cannot stick around to defend this any longer. He and Nemesis both just have to get out of there. And that is going to allow Dinklebergs some more pressure back into this game, and they still haven't taken the lead back. They're still about a few hundred gold down. Now Settles does find some good damage onto Dragon Men's, who is not the healthiest after that fight in the mid lane. And important to note, Settles does have the ultimate, uses the ultimate, and does find the kill onto Dragon Men's. And that is going to be a second kill for the carry of Quantum, taking a much different look than in game number 1, and certainly making me eat my words right now.
Yeah, me and Artemis, you know, definitely a strong 1v1 boxer with that ultimate, you know. You get that off, you throw him in a trap, you're getting 3 or 4 autos for free.
Now we're going to go back to this mid 3v3 here, and while it's nice to see this lead is growing slightly for Quantum, I think they're really going to have to start turning more focus to these objectives that are spawning in. I mean, we've got Gold Fury on the map. We've got Pyromancer on the map. If they don't take these, they do still give Dinklebergs an opportunity to get back into things by taking them for themselves. I'd really like to see them force some fights around there while they still have a slight lead here. Now they are being forced back in this mid lane by Merlin and Gino here. Mystery Rabbit also rotating in to help support this. But not too much going to happen as they're just going to fall back to the jungle, farm up. However, the tier 1 tower in the right lane is going to fall as Shadow Demon has once again turned his attention over there to help Odin out. Now the ultimate comes out from Izanami, but not able to put out too much damage as there were still some minions there. It looked like she had her steroid active, so she wasn't able to chew through them quite as efficiently as she normally does. However, the Oracles do seem to be going the way of Dinklebergs as well here as a fight is starting up in the mid lane. Hard Stepdad might be in some troubles. The River's Rebuke starts, forces the jump out. Here comes Odin, and that's going to be a kill for Axel Oblivion onto Spartan. The Isis ult is popped, and that's a big heal for Isis now, but the aggression is still coming down. Double stun onto Gino, cuts off the aggression from him, as Get Fragbro has found Dragon Men's as well, and this one is going much in the favor of Quantum, as Get Fragbro has found a double kill, could be a triple kill, but that one goes to Suttles now, and this looks like a Gold Fury call to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a Gold Fury call. You know, you take that tier 1 in mid, it's free. Then you just go and take that Gold Fury, and it looks like they do make the call.
And
Ratatosk are not going to be able to get there in time. Merlin, not going to be able to get there in time.
that is the advantage of having your solo laner ahead. He's now 2 levels up on Ratatosker, able to make these big rotations and impact these fights, turning them in a way that Ratatosker is simply unable to, as he's not in a position to do so. He doesn't even have boots.
He has an acorn. That's better than boots. Come on. You're better than this, Spooky.
I'm clearly not. I'm willing to make all of the jokes in Dino's absence.
Alright, and one thing I'm seeing here is the Rat is not building very tanky. He's going into these hybrid items, and I'm not a big fan of that in the solo lane. What do you feel about that?
I don't hate it. I like the hybrid items. I think the sledge is still better and should pretty much always be built because it's just insanely good. But I mean, I don't dislike Runic Shield. I like Shifter's Shield. I don't personally buy it myself because I don't think it's the greatest item. I think maybe like a Void Shield would be better. But I don't hate the hybrid build. I think it's very viable. And now he's going in from the ultimate, looking for some aggression onto this. I'm sorry, Nike here. Hard Stepdad is gonna fall in that mid lane as the Goose makes his first appearance outside of the solo lane, and he's just showing that he doesn't need these levels to have an impact. As the Odin Cage now comes down with Yamoja ultimate down, nothing to counter that. Spartan very low. He is gonna fall. Dragon Man's trying to help him out, but he is just a little bit too late, a little bit too unhealthy to take this fight much longer. And gee, I gotta tell you, Ruler, this is a much different look from game number 1. I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if maybe the coach came in and gave him a little pep talk, but Quantum looks like game 1 just didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Jeff had some very unkind words for him after that first game. And I mean, just like I said in the pregame, you know, that Odin Cage with that Artemis ult is huge. Stunning, you know, 3 people and being able to get those kills off.
Now, all that said, I do think it's important to note that the 2 top player damage in the game is still on the side of Dinklebergs. That's both their carries putting out the most damage in this game so far. However, between them and their next highest teammate is the entirety of Quantum's team.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, not always top damage, you know, definitely not on my team, and I don't think that really matters. I think that you really just need to be able to do your damage at the right times. You know, if you're able to put down, you know, 11 kills compared to their 4 with, you know, less damage on your carries, I think that's a little bit more important. That's something you need to look at.
Absolutely
Are you able to
is.
burst down your opponents effectively?
But it does tell a very telling story that Gino has just not been able to find the same success in this match that he was in the next. The entirety of Quantum is above him in player damage. That includes their support and their solo laner, who, granted, is always slap fighting, but the rotations that Get Fragbro has been able to make are huge. However, Spartan is able to find himself a kill there, but now Shadow Demon and Get Fragro are trying to chase him through the jungle and all the way to that tier 2 tower. Now Mysterious Rabbit locked into an Odin cage as Shadow Demon has rotated back around, and that's going to be a clean pick for them. And that is the Goose who has to jump away. Now Gino could be in a little bit of trouble, but he is able to create enough distance that he doesn't get caught out. And he's able to rotate back to his camp and maybe do a recall, get himself healthy, spend some of this gold, and find a way to impact these fights a little bit more. Now, all things considered, though, he hasn't been doing too badly on the Subwa. He's only 1 level down despite having 3 deaths to his name. Spartan, on the other hand, might be in some trouble, but the stun does not quite connect. He's still in that fire stance, and now Shadow Demon's rotated around. Well, it's going to be a dead Merlin. That is the Wizard's last rhyme.
That is a 5-0 Odin.
Now it's a big stun onto Gino, and that's going to be cleaned up by Subtles as well. And now the aggression is fully in the court of Quantum as they have a 5v3 in this mid lane. But I don't think the tier 2 is exactly where they want to be looking just yet. They have a Primal Fury starting to spawn in just a few moments here. And they're going to go ahead and steal away some of this farm from the side of Dinklebergs.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going towards
They're
that Fire
going
Giant.
to the Fire Giant, which is quite surprising. 17 minutes in, but they have a 2-man advantage over Dinklebergs right now. So why not go for it?
Yeah, and it looks like they will lose the Primal Fort, and I think that's definitely a great trade. However, we do see Shadow Demon die to the Fire Giant. We miss it, but he does fall.
Oh no! Shadow Demon, you can't be tanking the Fire Giant like that. Oh no! Granted,
Fire
it's an
Giant go
18-minute. It's an 18-minute Fire Giant, so still pretty good. But man, you just don't want to be dying to Fire Giants. Back out if you need to. They do lose the Primal, as you said, and that's a great rotation from Dinklebergs. They know they're not going to make it to that fire. They know the Quantum rotated to that side, so go for the objective you can get. Split the difference, and don't let the gap become too big. It is about 5,000 right now in favor of Quantum at about 19 minutes into the game, so Dinklebergs definitely need to be a little bit careful here. Not misstep, don't overstep, and just don't fight over things that you don't need to fight over is the biggest thing right now, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely seen a much cleaner game here from Quantum. They've really, you know, just kind of taken a step back and said, no, we need to take only good engagements, stop all this pointless chasing kills, and I mean, they've cleaned up their act definitely from game one.
Yeah, and a big item I would like to highlight is the Talisman of Energy, which I always like seeing be picked up. But we might have to put that on hold as Odin just goes right on into this tier 2, throws down the cage, but they're not too concerned. However, that's a big ult from Isis that takes a Mysterious Rabbit right off the map. The Goose went up into the ultimate, but not able to find too much. Now Nike's going all the way in as well. However, this tier 2 tower is still standing. Merlin's trying to defend it, but they've got 3 people between the tier 2 and the Phoenix. Sentinel of Zeus comes down. That's a lot of damage being put out, and the tier 2 will in fact fall. And now the Phoenix is what's being aggressed on. However, Gino is right here to help peel off the aggression. Good knock Shadow Demon away from there.
Yeah, and it looks like they're just gonna look to take down this map, you know, take down those tier 2 towers, extend their gold lead and XP lead. And I think that's definitely a good choice, you know. 5-on-5 into a Phoenix is hard, even with Fire Giant.
Yeah, this is exactly what they want to be doing. Just take the objectives on the map, take those towers down, take these camps away, make sure that Dinklebergs can't find a way back into this game. They do leave the red up, but they take the purple. They're going to secure their own red, secure their own purple. They've got the tier 2 tower. I'd like to see if maybe they can siege down this tier 2 in the solo lane. It might be pushing it a little bit, as we've spent quite a bit of time already taking down these first two tier 2 towers.
Yeah, I think that might have been just a little too greedy. And as we were talking about earlier, Talisman of Energy. I love it. It's great magical defense item. And it's buffing your teammates, you know? Just a little bit of extra in those team fights.
It looks like we're also going to be going into a Prid win for that extra shield going on there, and I do like that as well. A little unfortunate that it doesn't stack with Odin's shield as well, but you take what you can get on these.
Yeah, and it looks like they are going to go look to siege down that last tier 2. I mean, they are going to go over there to defend it, but I mean, Izanami's not there. They're clearing out those mid waves and that to make sure it doesn't go into the Phoenix. And I mean, huge ult from Odin again.
Mysterious Rabbit is not able to do a whole lot there. However, they don't lose anyone to that Odin ult, but the Goose just walks right into a Spirit Ball, takes a lot of this health bar down for it. Now Nike's going in, Sentinel of Zeus popped, and the aggression continues as Suttles does manage to find the kill onto the Goose, and now Shadow Demon has found the kill onto Mysterious Rabbit. The aggression just keeps on going. Now they're looking at this Phoenix, trying to put some damage into it. However, it's going to be a double kill for Shadow Demon, and Settles is not
Izanami isn't there.
unstoppable.
She's splitting down that left lane. This could be an end call.
Yeah, this is not where you want your Izanami to be right now. This Phoenix is going down no matter what. And now it's a 5v1 in the Titan room. However, they are going to turn their attention towards the mid Phoenix now. They don't have the Fire Giant anymore, so this might be a little bit too long to take here.
Yeah, that's an interesting call there for sure. I mean, they are going to take it, but they're going to be very low going out of that.
They force out their own shell, though. And now they have to peel away because they can't continue this fight any longer. Izanami, though, trying to find something, doesn't quite find what she's looking for there.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 Phoenixes, but that's going to give Dinklebergs a little bit of extra pressure on that right side of the map, looking into that Fire Giant. However, we do see the teleport coming back out.
And now
in there, they're going to go immediately for it.
Right on up.
They don't care. They're saying, you have fire minions to deal with. You're not fighting this. But no, they are going to go ahead and back off.
Drop it. I would have considered that a pretty good Fire Giant to take there, even if the Goose is coming in with that Ratatoskr ult. They're so far behind. They are 11,000 gold behind right now. They don't want to be taking these fights. Granted, both the carries are actually even in levels right now.
But yeah, but I mean,
see
look
the
at your
difference in
frontliners.
gold. And exactly that. The frontliners, there's a world of difference between them. Look at the difference between Nike and Yamoja right now. 4 levels. The same is true for the junglers. Now, the Goose is only 1 level down on the Odin, but he's also significantly less tanky as he's gone into a Heartseeker. And now, Get Fragro is dropping the Odin cage down. Nike jumping in with the Sentinel of Zeus. Gino has managed to find a way out as Dragon Menace was not in that cage and was able to tear down those walls, but Gino was taking a lot of damage from Isis, who is going to pick up that kill now. Spartan trying to put some damage out as the Mysterious Rabbit drops the River's Rebuke, trying to cut off some of this aggression, does manage to give herself and her team a little bit of time there, but man, Dinklebergs are not in a good spot right now. Now it's a blink in from Shadow Demon, and he's just going to dash on through, looking for the Goose, does find that kill, and this could be the end of the game now, as it is 5v3 in the throne room. Ice is very low herself. They could still find a turnaround. She has the ult.
I mean, that could be a full heal if she places that correctly. So, do you think they need to look around that, you know? Just throw it on your minions right now going into
Dragon Men's, though. That's going to send him right back to the fountain. They're not willing to aggress onto the Titan just yet. They're too low. And they are going to call it off. They're going to back out despite having a 5v4 with Axel, Suttles, and our Stepdad being that low. They are not willing to continue it any further. Instead, they're going to look to this Gold Fury, maybe reset, and then go back to this Fire Giant.
Yeah, I mean, resetting there, you know, not a terrible idea, you know. If you're not quite confident in your ability to end there, you don't want to risk it, you know. If you get wiped there, they could make a serious comeback, you know, push down that middle lane and grab a Phoenix if you get decided there, so
yeah, that'd
definitely
be
a safe
easily
play.
A Fire Giant for Dinklebergs if they lose the fight in the throne room. So, definitely better to play it safe there, but I don't know. Personally, I would have liked to see them just take the 5v3 and just push it all the way.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think they could have ended at that 5v1 with the Izanami and the
definitely
and the Titan.
Now we do see some posturing around this Fire Giant pit. Dragonman's might be a little bit out of position, but doesn't look like they realize he's there, as he is going to start up a recall and not be seen. Now a ward is dropped by the side of the Dinklebergs. And the side of Quantum is going to reaggress onto this mid lane. They are grouped up. They're looking for more. Like the blink did come out from Odin, who's going all the way in right now. Merlin being forced all the way back as the Odin cage is dropped now. Spirit Ball
Red is in the air.
Goose is looking for a big knockup. Looking for something, still waiting. Does find Suttles there, but he's also found the entirety of Quantum. He is going to manage to try to get out, but Spartan in his turn is going to fall as well. Now Suttles does take out the Goose, who just barely managed to survive the first drop, and now Quantum is aggressing onto this Titan, finally looking for the end. Mysterious Rabbit also very low, forced to be in the fountain. But Gino has found Shadow Demon, looking to put up a defense still. And the damage is still pouring out from Subtles. River's Rebuke comes down. Dragon Men's shuts down, get fragged, bro. The River's Rebuke comes down, and Dragon Men's finds a double kill, shutting down Subtles. And now we're seeing a lot more aggression coming out. Axel Oblivion is all by himself, does find the kill onto Gino, but Dragonmans is unable to find the kill onto him as well. It's a deicide for Dinklebergs. What a great defense.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say anything about that, you know? I mean, they took a very, very hard fight into their Phoenix, into their Titan, and, you know, Quantum got a little bit greedy and went for the end, and they just couldn't quite make it.
Yeah,
Like I said, you know, Dinkleberg's going to be able to probably get down both of those mid towers. Not the Phoenix, I don't think, because they do have some minions on both the side lanes to worry about.
I would like to see them just go burn the Fire Giant right now. Just go take it. You've got 4 people up. They've only got 1. They've got 2 now. It's a little bit too late for it at this point, but I think they definitely could have taken the Fire Giant off the board, secure it for themselves. Now they're not really going to have another chance for it, as with Quantum up and their mid Phoenix down, they can't afford to send their full force to the Fire Giant to defend it. And now, exactly that. Quantum is heading to that side of the map. Maybe going to clear out that wave, but most probably just going to go for that Fire Giant and get it for themselves. In fact, they could even wait 1 minute and just get an enhanced one.
Yeah, and I mean, we do see them. They're getting their wards out there, making sure that they aren't going to get surprised with the Fire Giant.
They're going to
go ahead and start it up.
Dinklebergs are in no position to defend it here. Now it's being burned very quickly, so one consolation for Dinklebergs is that it's not the EFG. It is still just the base Fire Giant, but with your Titan that low and only 2 Phoenixes up, that's not much of a consolation at all.
No, and I mean, this is going to be a hard defense. That is 5 people with enhanced fire, right around a 9,000 gold lead.
Did it once. Can they do it again? The Odin Cage has been dropped. Merlin's trying to put the damage out. There's a lot of damage coming through. Gino trying to put it out with the crushing wave, but Subtles has picked up a kill onto Mysterious Rabbit. Shadow Demon has now found Gino, who was a key piece of their first defense. The Titan is already so low, and it does indeed go down on this push. And Quantum takes game number 2. Well, Ruler, whatever they needed to figure out and fix up for game number 2, they sure did it. And they came back very strong in this one.
Yeah, I mean, they played a solid game, you know. I think they, you know, just laned a little bit better in that duo lane, made sure that Dragon Men's couldn't, you know, just take off like he did in that first game, and they were able to just, you know, slowly but surely make their way into that victory.
And they were able to find a lead through most of the game this time around, which was very impressive after their first kind of rough showing there. And once again, you can see the difference here. Subtles, who was barely at 6,000 player damage in game number 1, hit 21,579, the second highest in the game, topped only by the Izanami, who was able to shoot those basics through multiple people at the time.
Yeah, now one thing to note here is Mystery Rabbit, the support, only placing 2 wards.
Yeah, that's not exactly where you want to be with your support ward count. Definitely need to get more vision on the map than that, and that's a part of why Quantum was able to secure so many objectives that time around. Now, it's not just her fault, but you see the rest of her team was putting down those wards, so it is a team effort. They need everyone contributing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, each player can only have 2 wards out at a time, you know. If Ymoja's not placing those wards, the maximum they're having out on the field is 8 compared to the possible 10 on Quantum side with the more consistent warding.
Yeah, absolutely. And now heading into game number 3, both of these teams have had a chance to feel each other out and get a sense of what they're doing. What do you think? What do you think's going through each team's heads right now? Where do you think they're trying to be to make sure they come away with the big dub after tonight?
I mean, I really am, looking at Quantum to, pick into that dual lane again, look for that big pressure that they had this game and, just kind of just keep up the momentum, you win a game and you have that momentum, you have the mind games of we won, we're going to do it again. So,
Yeah,
love to see it. Love to have them pick another huge team fight team, Odin Cage, Artemis ult, Isis ult, Nike ult. They're just huge circles. It's great.
I think I would like to see Gino pick a higher pressure jungle in this third match. I mean, if they're going to run something like Artemis, you should just be running something to punish it. Like we've seen Gino is comfortable on that Thanatos. I think that would go pretty hard into the Artemis, as well as the Isis, who is not known for her mobility herself. And if he can help get more pressure in that solo lane to prevent Fragbro from getting as big as he did and from rotating out early like he did, I think that would also help a lot. But of
Yeah, I
course,
mean, I'm definitely expecting an Odin ban here. I mean, Odin MVP that game, 100%.
yeah, but of course you can't put it just on the jungler either, right? You gotta clean up your lanes a little bit as well. I mean, Dragonman's not nearly as dominant in this second game as the first. Odin, like you said, was just absolutely running things, not only in his solo lane, but also when he rotated out and started joining these fights. He had some very well placed cages that just weren't responded to very well and ended up turning the fights entirely in his team's favor and just great all around play. You saw a lot of aggression coming out from him. He knew what he was capable of doing, and he had no fear in going in and making it happen.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that they were struggling with in that first game was, target management, who are we going to kill in this fight? Who do we need to take out first? And Odin takes that off the table. He says, "You're killing the person in my cage. Get him now. Burn everything on them. We fight after." And they did that, they were able to take down one or two targets at a time with ease, and I think that really helped them secure that win.
I'm a little surprised that we didn't see a Phantom Veil come out from the Dinklebergs there to
There
help
was on the
combat that
Yamoja
on the
with the
Yamoja.
relic dagger.
I had missed that. I like that. That's a good pickup. But I don't know. Maybe we should have seen it on maybe the Ratatoskr as well instead of the Blink Purification. I mean, Umoja is not always going to have the Phantom Veil up, and you've got a few people who can't get out, namely Habois.
Yeah,
And Ratatoskr has to burn his ultimate to get out of it. And granted, while it can be used as a good re-engagement tool, it's not the best when you see it coming like that. But for game number 3, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Odin was taken off the table. I would be surprised if they took the Nemesis away as well. Shadow Demon looked very good on that one, showed he was comfortable on more than just a Raven, so maybe that target ban wasn't quite as effective as they were hoping it would have been.
yeah. I mean, definitely looked better on the Nemesis this game. I mean, the Robin looked good first game. Wasn't quite able to get what he needed done with it, but he was definitely still looking pretty solid on the Robin. But yeah, pushing him out of that comfort zone, out of that Robin into the Nemesis, the super high tier jungler at the moment, could have backfired a little bit there.
Maybe just very, very slightly. 6-2, maybe a slight
Just a little
miscalculation.
bit.
But who do you have pegged for winning game number 3, just off the top of your head?
I I love my boys on Quantum. It's my coach's team. How can I root against him? But I
I
really
root
do think
against
it's
Bojo
gonna.
all the time. I hop in his stream, I'm like, hey, Bojo, you should feed this game. It's very easy.
You just play like Dino, you know?
And
But yeah, I
for
mean, I
those
think
of
it's
you who
gonna
can't
come
hear
down to a
Dino,
lot of comp choices for who's gonna win this game 3.
most definitely, and interesting to see, we did see a Height of the Nemean Lion be picked up by Odin in that game. Not sure if it's exactly what I would have gone for, as the only really basic attacker was Izanami, but if we're talking about questionable builds, I would like to turn our attention towards the Executioner on Izanami. Now, the Executioner was known for being a premier hunter item for quite some time, but after some recent nerfs, uh, it's been described as poo poo tier.
Yes, yes. Down from 36% protection shred to 21. Absolutely massacred my boy. So, I mean, you're getting the executioner there, and there's only one other physical on your team to benefit from it. I mean, I don't see the real use there. Definitely could have went for a different item in that slot.
I'm going to call it a
Maybe a
misclick.
kin size, void
Maybe he was
shield
going for
even,
the king
berserker
size.
shield, something. Just not
Maybe
executioner. It's just not
stepped out of
viable
fountain
anymore.
while trying to rush to defend. Didn't realize they bought XT instead of Keems, and too late to undo. We'll give Dragon Menace the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, he didn't mean to buy that. I mean, Izanami, is able to proc it pretty quickly, but just not a premier hunter item anymore.
In fact, it's rather a poo poo tier item.
Yeah, I'm sure if I were to build it, Skipper would yell at me quite a bit.
Skipper
Then
yells a
again, if
lot no matter what.
I don't know about that.
I've played
Definitely
with the
gets a
man.
lot of oh yes.
Are taking some time getting into game number 3 as both teams collect themselves and have a regroup with their coaches here. And we just taking a short break as they collect themselves. But as we're waiting, we're watching Smite still. And you know what's new in Smite? Tsukuyomi is the newest god in Smite, and he's also just been allowed into ranked.
Yeah, he has been allowed into ranked. Still a little bit longer before you would be allowed into competitive play.
Indeed, indeed. But you know what isn't a long wait? The wait for Tsukuyomi's first skin, which is available now in the Necropolis Battle Pass. There it is, Infernal Omen Tsukuyomi. And indeed, it is a pretty good skin, if I do say so myself. Check it out and buy gems or don't. Doesn't
We don't make
matter.
any money off them.
Also, if you notice, he has a limited skin. Now you might be wondering, how does he already have a limited skin? Well, you see, that, my friends, is a recolor skin. How can you get this Ascended Tsukuyomi skin? It's actually part of a skin line, all titled Ascended. You can get an Ascended Cthulhu skin, an Ascended Baba Yaga skin, an Ascended Mulan skin. All you have to do is spend $40 on the season pass to get a really expensive Zeus skin and some recolors.
Come on, those are recolors. Those
Just
are
get the God
quality
pack
quality
instead.
recolors.
But enough of my uh, pandering, basically, as we are now hopping into picks and bans of game number 3. This time, Dinklebergs will be on the order side, giving them first pick, first ban, and it will, in fact, be the Team Quantum on the Chaos side. Freya is once again the first ban, and I don't think anyone's too surprised about that. No one lets Freya through these days. She's pretty nasty.
And we see the Athena ban. Still that huge respect ban from that game 1. Mystery Rabbit played very well on it, so definitely ban worthy there.
Yeah, it had a great showing in game number 1, and I'm not surprised that it's being taken off the table, not allowed back into games 2 or 3. banning away worked well for Quantum, so no reason not to do the same, and ditto for Cupid. However, Nemesis will be taken off the board as well, as looks like the Dinklebergs are not too excited to see that one coming down again. And Cthulhu, once again, not allowed on the battlefield of the gods, even though he does have a new skin called Ascended, which is limited. You can get that with the season pass, which is probably not worth the money. Don't do it.
Come on, that's a really cool looking Zeus skin. Other than that, bunch of boring recolors.
It has a
Just
really
buy the
cool
god
Zeus
pack.
skin. It's such a cool Zeus skin. Now, Hoonbot's also taken off the board as well, and now it's going to be Oleron who's being hovered. And I was talking about him a lot during the first game. I am glad to see we're going for him in game number 3 here. I think that's a huge pickup for Dragon Men.
We see the Nike again, definitely a strong support Nike pick that game, so definitely understandable there. Gonna help a lot with that. Oleron early, able to put out a ton of damage with that rend.
Yeah, that is definitely the part they're going to be very careful about is that early game. Oleron does not have a great early until he gets Ring of Hecate and boots and his ultimate. He's not really all that powerful. He's very susceptible to ganks. But here's another big pick in Hercules. And that is a pretty frightening duo lane, if I do say so myself. Now, Poseidon also locked in, and this is looking like a good draft for Dinkleberg
Yep,
so
and we
far.
see the Odin. I saw it coming.
Indeed.
Oleron doesn't have an escape. Hercules doesn't have an escape. Poseidon doesn't have another escape.
Yep, Quantum
Boom,
will
there it is.
indeed be willing to run this one back, especially if they're going to pick a team comp that's so susceptible to what they fell to in the last one.
Yeah, Herc does get out using the best CC in the game, dying. Does take you out of the fight for quite an extended amount of time.
Yeah, that's actually the Odin Cage is a really big counter to Hercules and Oleron in particular because it shuts down that healing. Hercules without healing isn't all that powerful, and Oleron without being able to benefit from his lifesteal and Ring of Hecate, it's going to be significantly easier to kill. The Artemis ban surprises me a little bit here. The Hercules is not a bad pick for dealing with that Artemis, and they still haven't picked their jungler, which would allow them to pick a high pressure assassin if they decided to go for someone like Artemis again. So a little surprised to see that one go out. Now
We see the
Bakasura.
Bakasura pickup. Now, Bakasura, very hit or miss, like I was talking about in that first picker man phase. But I love him into this comp. Even if you have an escape out of the cage, he's gonna cripple you. How you getting out? You're crippled.
Yeah, it is a great decision to pick that up here. I like it a lot. And not to mention, along with that cripple, he's got those cone true damage basics. And when they're locked into a small area like that, it's so easy to just rip through a whole team with them. But now a Wheelish being locked in for Gino, and I like that actually quite a bit here. They have 3 jumps on their team. If a Wheelish can pull either Bakasura or Odin back to her as they try to engage, that could turn a team fight in a big way. And with Cerberus also rounding out the draft here, it's not a bad look for them all around. Especially with that Odin cage, Cerberus could just pick them up and throw them back out and create some space for his team there. The real question is, will the Goose actually be taking Hercules into solo? And will Mystery Rabbit actually be taking Cerberus as support? My guess is no, but I've been surprised before.
Yeah, I mean, Cerberus definitely, has the ultimate to pull him away from the cage to keep him from, dumping all of their kits on there. But at the same time, Quantum doesn't really have the healing that you want to see for Cerberus, I mean, there's the Isis ult and the Bakasura Eve. That's the only healing they have on the team now that he's going to be able to take advantage of.
I find the heal is more of a side note for Cerberus, really. He's a great lane bully, and he has great setup, and I'd say those are the two main things you're looking for with that Cerberus pickup. You do see Neath locked in for Subtles here, and looks like it will indeed be Cerberus support and Hercules in the solo lane. Much different from what I had expected, and so now I'm not 100% sure why we picked the Cerberus, as the healing is a big part of his support role. I'll be honest. But I mean, still good setup for the team. Still puts out a lot of damage in that duo lane. So, and I mean, I was saying that the Artemis pick looked bad to me before, and that turned out to be great. So, what do I know?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, they're just some comps that, don't really look like they, make too much sense, but they really synergize well. And I think that that's really a strong point of Quantum. They have these comps that are going to work together pretty well that you wouldn't really think.
Yeah, they do. I do think they have a little bit of their work cut out for them, especially come late game here. Once Oleron comes online, it's going to be pretty difficult to fight into what Dinklebergs have drafted. However, Quantum has a pretty solid early game comp. If they can push the aggression like they did in game number 2, they could very easily find themselves a good lead early on and just push that all the way to a game end. But what I'd really like to see from Quantum is not being afraid to go for those ends. We saw them have a 5v1 in game 2 and not go for the end, which ended up costing them a big team fight in the throne room when they came back. Almost gave Dinklebergs a chance to get back into things. Luckily, they were able to salvage that and come back with a big dub. But the key takeaway there is if you have an advantage like that, push it. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a hard call to make, Can you win the game here, or are you going to get wiped in throne room? It's tough sometimes, You're not quite sure how much damage you can put out, and losing in a throne room is rough.
Now we will be going into the game relatively soon here, but remember, before we get into the game proper, take a look at the drafts. Whose draft do you prefer?
I'd say this game there pretty even. You have the Oleron Cerberus Poseidon set up there for huge team fights, as opposed to the Odin Isis that you're gonna see on the other side. So definitely a tough call there.
Yeah, I would like to see someone on the side of Dinklebergs pick up a Sunder for this Nike and the Odin. Because you can't just let them run at you with those big shields. You got to have something to deal with it. However, we will see how they respond to this essentially run back team comp as we get into the game proper here. And we'll see if Quantum is able to take this early comp and push a big lead, or if Dinklebergs will be able to weather the storm and get to late game for their monstrous potential. Now both teams loading on in here. We got everyone finally connected there. And we'll see what everyone is choosing to build here in short order. In short order, we will see what people are choosing to build. Smite.
Whoa! You're talking to Smite here. It barely knows if it wants to load half the time.
Indeed, for Dino, it does not want to load any of the time.
All right, we got to build on an Awilix. Has
All
the
right.
early
A
beads
good
as opposed to
decision to
the
pick up
aggressive
Assassin's Blessing.
bling. Yep, that is an assassin's blessing.
Yep.
Would
So
guess that would be an
excellent.
item on an assassin.
Yeah, you never know. Some of these junglers, they choose to go like
Guan or
acorns, some weird stuff, blessings of the assassin variety. You know how it is. People are weird sometimes. Need I remind you of Jingtian Jungle?
you know it happened, but I don't think it won.
It did not win, but it happened.
Looks like we are getting some more builds online here.
You see, Spartan has stayed a little bit longer than usual to clear that wave out. That's going to get him to lane a little bit later than actual Oblivion, which could give actual an advantage, possibly level 2 before Spartan is able to get it. Indeed, he is behind, and that lets Axel have an additional ability over Spartan to pressure with. Now Olron feeling that slightly weaker early game as he's a little bit below half health here.
Yeah, I mean it's Nike. She can
Yep.
land a great jump into Rend here and do a lot of damage. However, she does just use it to clear the wave.
And Mystery Rabbit positioning to try to make sure they don't have a clean shot at Dragon Men's, trying to make sure he can reach the late game he needs to and not get shut down in this early game, because that will be absolutely key. I do want to note it seems that Poseidon will be going into a Doom Orb as well. He has started that Lost Artifact. Now Mystery Rabbit a little bit low there, could be trouble, but no follow up off that route. However, Dragon Men's now might be the one in some trouble, but he is going to wisely back off and get some safe distance put between himself and that Nike. Good driving strike onto Odin is going to keep the pressure going there. And this is, I say this is a matchup that doesn't necessarily disfavor Hercules, at least in the early game. Once the ultimates come online, it'll be a little bit more dangerous for him. But from levels 1 to 4, he's going to be able to bully this Odin fairly well. But now, Shadow Demon is jumping in on that duo lane. Barry comes out trying to lock them down, but it only hits Mystery Rabbit. And Oleron does manage to get out. And look at that, they both get away with their lives. That is absolutely huge for Dinklebergs to be able to keep both their duo lane alive. However, Giant Man's might be stepping up a little bit too far there. Root does not connect, and neither does this Rend, so no kill potential just yet as purple buff is dropped.
We do see Gino looking for the gank here.
He does find a big knock up
on
onto the Nike there, and now it's actually Nike is in trouble here. Mr. Rabbit jumps in, but doesn't quite find too much. Gino is still looking for more, jumps in on Suku, and that's a great feather step for the first blood. Great loop around coming from Gino there to help get his dual lane back into things. A great counter gank, and it goes entirely their favor. In fact, they were even able to force out the shell from Nike on that after having their own forced out earlier in the lane.
Yeah, I mean that's just rough. You know, they had that unsuccessful gank early, and you know, Gino was just able to counter and gank onto it, and you know, secure that kill.
Now red buff has spawned back up for both sides. And one thing Dinklebergs has to be careful of is this Bakasura, who can easily steal these camps away with his Eat Minion ability. So they're definitely going to want to be getting those on cooldown, make sure Bakasura doesn't have an opportunity to go in and steal those away. Now, Isis has returned to base, which will give Poseidon a slight XP lead over her. However, he is also going to return to base rather than going over to his red buff to split that XP. He is going to complete his boots, get those purple ones online as Isis is going for the blue boots. And what just happened? Did Awelish not just take that?
What? I'm very confused as to what you're confused about.
I swear Wheelish was just taking that red buff. Anyway, pulling that Neith right back into the Olo ult is going to secure her death there. And now it looks like it will be Nike falling as well. That's a great double kill for the side of Dinklebergs. And Gino is just on a tear. Over on the other side of the map, Get Fragbro has gotten fragged himself by none other than the Goose. Honk. Indeed. Thank you, Dino, for that input. Always the valuable commentary. And now we see, speaking of valuable, we see Totem of Coup has spawned, and the Goose is honking away at it, trying to secure that for his team. Now
Yeah, I mean, this has been a great early game for Dinklebergs. You know, they've been putting a ton of pressure on that duo lane, and you know, they've also been pressuring that solo lane. You know, Hercules definitely beats Odin in the early game.
Yeah, and this is actually quite the opposite of what I expected to happen, but I'm glad to see Dinklebergs has recognized what they need to do and made sure that Quantum can't just run over their dual lane. However, Bakasura is over here in the solo lane. However, the ultimate does not find too much. However, here is Gino also looking for some aggression. A great pluck, but it's going to be an Odin cage that gets plucked into them. Now Gino could be in some trouble, but the Odin cage does fall. Now Featherstep comes down onto Shadow Demon. He's gives up, but he's pulled back in by the ultimate as he tries to jump out. Great patience from Gino, and that's just fantastic teamwork there.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just great work from Gino. I mean, he looked at the comp and he said, that's 4 people with jumps. I can't go wrong with a Willix.
A great ultimate from Cerberus leads to a big Kraken, forces out the Sentinel of Zeus. Kraken was a little bit slow, but still managed to confirm all the damage. But I think if maybe they're a little bit faster on the pull there, they do secure that kill. But that's all something to be sorted out later. A good pluck, and now Neith is looking for an ultimate. Hercules is just going to back off. Great timing on the 3 to get the heal going, so he doesn't have to worry about that ulti so much. And that is going to force Odin out of lane. Now Gino fighting for these oracles, and the good Feather Step puts a lot of pressure onto Bakasura. Has the Butcher Blades active, but has to back off. The oracles do go the way of Quantum, so that's a small victory they can count for themselves. However, they're now having their Chad stolen away by Cerberus, and Dragonman's just gets to continue wailing on this wave. Gets some good poke onto Neith, and honestly, this one's starting to swing into Dinkleberg's favor.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they definitely have a lot of early pressure here. And I just want to see them, you know, start to convert that into these objectives, you know, look for that Gold Fury pretty soon.
Great
Be able
driving
to push
strike
that
from
lead.
her. Well, here comes Shadow Demon looking to try to maybe make something happen. However, he recognizes nothing will and instead turns his attention to the Totem of Coup. He's still trying to be aggressive despite the jungler's presence here. He's not afraid of anything right now. Now they're going to rotate to that blue buff, but it is already dropped down on the ground for Odin, so he can just walk right back over to the lane there. Now Wheelish, looking for an invade here. And there's the Neith. Gonna wait for her to step up. Good patience from Gino. He's coming in now. She's low on mana. Sanctified Field comes down. Beat are forced out, and Oleron does pick up that kill. First one for Dragonmen's, but that's the second death for Neith now. 4th in that dual lane overall. And what looked like a great lane for Quantum has become kind of a feeding frenzy for Dinklebergs. However, Bakasura is over in that dual lane, trying to put pressure onto Dragonmen's, but not able to find too much. Now we're starting to approach the 10-minute mark, where I expect these teams will start looking towards this Gold Fury. And frankly, it's looking like Dinklebergs will have a pretty good shot at securing it for themselves here if they can continue this lead that they're getting. Already about 2,000 in their favor, only 9.5 minutes in. They have found hard stepdad Gino maybe looking for some aggression, but as Shadow Demon rotates in, he decides he does too much. But Mystery Rabbit says she's willing to go for the throat, jumps on in. Stun does not connect. However, Ice's stun does, and now Mystery Rabbit could be in some trouble. But there is no follow-up from the rest of the team. They're not willing to commit onto that Cerberus just yet.
Yeah, and I mean, I love the Cerberus play there, getting that aggression there to try to make them jump away, looking to have that Awilix be able to pull them out of the sky.
Yeah, now they're going to be able to secure their buffs once again here. Not too much invading happening just yet, but Gino does have a level lead over Shadow Demon right now, and he's been taking that for all it's worth. It's not much, but it is still something, and if you have something, you just keep it going. There's a level lead in pretty much every lane, in every single lane right now. 2 levels in solo lane, 1 level for support, 1 level for the carries, 1 level for the mids. This is very much going in favor of the Dinklebergs right now, and Quantum needs to find a way to stop this bleed and try to pull it back in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree there, I mean, Quantum definitely has some better early game gods in the Isis and the Nike in their corresponding roles, and not being able to do a whole lot in this early game is very rough.
Yeah, and as the game goes on, gods like Odin do start to fall off a little bit here. A great pull, forcing out the beast, but they're a little bit too late. The Butcher Blades come out with the Regurgitate, but here's the Sanctified Field on Axel Oblivion. It's gonna get Suku out, but no! Hard Stepdad is right there with the Ren to secure the kill. Now, Dragonman could be some trouble, but here is Spartan with a big Kraken coming out to secure the kill onto Isis, and that's gonna be a double kill as well for the ODST Spartan, and they're gonna continue the aggression looking for Neath, but I think it might be time to call it off. Maybe look for an objective. And indeed, it is Spartan who's stepping up to the goal. Fury, I didn't mean to shout that loud. It appears he heard me there, as now they're turning their full attention towards the Fury, and it is going to be going the way of Dinklebergs, apparently for free. And great leashing from the team of Dinklebergs ensures that they don't lose anyone to that Go Fury as well. So great play all around.
And that's what we need to see from Dinklebergs here. They just need to continue to grow that lead slowly but surely, take down that Gold Fury, look for that Pyro pretty soon, just anything they can to widen that gap.
Yeah, what was only about a 2,000 gold lead has expanded to about 3,000, maybe 3,500. Yep, 3,500. Look at that. Ultimate comes out from Hercules just to clear the wave, as he just doesn't care about Odin at this point. Who needs to fight when he can just clear waves and back? And he is going to indeed back for the sledge. As we were just discussing what a great item it is, now Hard Stepdad could be in some trouble. Barriers out, but here's Gino getting silenced. Stun doesn't quite connect, and Dragonman's is right there to return some damage, and what big damage he does. Those crits are coming online now. Now, Shadow Demon who's in some trouble. He tries jumping out, but gets pulled right back in. Gino picking up that kill, and Sentinel of Zeus comes down to try to help heal, but is not going to be able to do enough. Now, Mystery Rapid is still going on to the Nike, but here comes Get Frag Bro, looking to frag some bros. But Poseidon is right behind him. Gino has picked up the kill onto Isis. Sanctified Field comes down. Odin Cage has been dropped onto Gino now, who's getting very low. Unable to escape. Now Dragonman might be in some trouble as well, as Spartan's looking for Suttles. Big Kraken hits 2 of them. Dragonman finds the kill onto Hard Stepdad, and now Suttles and Sports completely out. Get Frag Bros caught in 3 people, and Dragonman's gonna find himself a double kill on that one now. That was a great turnaround from Spartan.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen these Kraken ults again and again, hitting 2 or 3 people, and he's just huge right now. I mean, 2-0, doesn't sound absolutely insane, but compared to an 0-2 Isis that you're 2 levels up on, that's massive. And he's been able to do so much damage in these team fights.
Damage is an understatement. That was a picture perfect Kraken right there that just stopped all aggression and completely turned the fight in their favor, as it was starting to look a little bit rough when Odin rotated in there. But man, props to Spartan for that one. That was a really clean Kraken.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter how much pressure you put on the back line when you can just keep moving forward, you know? If you can kill those people in front of you, you're able to turn and burn on that back line, and that's just what they did.
And now they have expanded their lead to be about 5,500. And I'd like to see them start turning their attention towards this Pyromancer. Maybe see if Quantum can sneak their way in, but they have a lot of deep wards there. They have those entrances covered on the side of Dinklebergs. Good stun from Axel Oblivion forces out the beads of Spartan and the Aegis as well. As I think he realized that he was pretty much alone there, but didn't want to risk the Isis ultimate. And definitely didn't want to risk giving a kill to a mid who's 2 levels down on him, because that is just a huge comeback. But now could be some trouble as Hard Stepdad rotates in. Actual Oblivion also right here gets a good stun onto Dragon Men's. Now Regurgitate comes out, but he doesn't seem to be able to find the kill. Cerberus finding the Stygian Torment onto him, throws him back. It's Gino's going to clean that one up. Dragon Men still managed to keep his life, and he is still willing to keep this fight going as Suttles is now taken very low. Sentinel of Zeus comes down, but not in time to save him as It's Gino finds a double kill. Now Hard Stepdad is in a little bit of trouble there, getting very low, but the chase just continues. I think this is where they need to call it off, and indeed, they do just let that one go as now Spartan is taking that tier 1 tower down. And they can turn their attention elsewhere on the map, perhaps the Pyromancer, but they're on the wrong side of the map for it. So instead, we're going to look for these mid camps, and maybe Nike is still in some trouble there as Gino and Mystery Rabbit are still right there. But now Mystery Rabbit might be going too far. I don't know about this one. It's a little bit risky. Gino does manage to find the kill, but Mystery Rabbit took a lot of damage. Now Gino is stunned. He has to use the beads. Managed to avoid one of his charges from the Wing Gust, but here is Get Frag Bro, and they just went too deep on that one. That finds them a nice kill that they needed.
Yeah, and that's a huge bounty on the 9-2 of Willix, now 9-3.
Yeah. Now is the Pyromancer that we were discussing being taken by Dinklebergs, and that's going to keep them in the lead, about 7,000 gold. It's a nice boost to XP to get rid of that a Wheelish there, but it's not going to be enough. It does let them get that tier 1 tower, so they've taken this kill for all it's worth, but unfortunately, that's about all they can do right now. Now it's worth noting that Oni Fury has respawned. It is ready to go. We do see Quantum is grouped up around that side before Dinklebergs. They could get some advantageous positioning, but with them being levels down the way they are, I mean, 2 levels almost everywhere except support, it's a little bit rough to be positioning for these objectives if you're Quantum right now. So, Ruler, what do you think they need to do to keep themselves in this?
I mean, I think they just need to, keep those wards up. They're starting to get those wards down on that left side of the map, and they just need to play a little cautiously, I mean, Odin late game, insane. You hit those huge cages and you can really do a number on those teams. Isis, early game
out
and
of
late
position
game.
there. Ultimate is forced out. So is the Odin cage. Knight does fall down to the Goose here, and now Cerberus just standing in the Isis ultimate takes a lot of damage unnecessarily. Now it is Shadow Demon who's being chased down and finally found by Dragonmen. The Goose, for his part, is on top of Actual Oblivion, and now the Sanctified Field is coming down as Get Fragro jumps into it, unfortunately. Now he is on the run, but Spartan and Gino are on the other side looking for Suttles. A good driving strike knocks Get Fragro back towards the Fury Pit where the rest of the team is rotating around, but did push him out of Mystery Rabbit's aggression there. They need to drop this aggression on Get Fragbro, I think, and just take this Fury. They do find the kill, thankfully not wasting too much more time on him, but that's time that could have been spent on the Fury. It could be dead already, and it is finally falling down.
Yeah, I mean, that looked like a good fight for Quantum. They started off with that huge Odin ult, but they're so far behind that they can't take fights right now. They need to farm. They need to just stay defensive, let these objectives go. Not uncontested, put a little bit of pressure there, but you can't fully commit to those fights because you just can't win them at this point.
Absolutely correct. Now, Wheelish 12-3, Poseidon 3-0, Dragonmen once again continuing his no death streak 4-0, and things are looking just a little bit rough for Quantum right now. They gotta pull themselves together and not overcommit to these fights. It is a little bit harder now that the Oni minions are going to be pushing down these waves. If Dinklebergs decide to group up in a lane, it could really put the pressure on Quantum and possibly cost them a tower or two somewhere. Now Gino rotating around in the enemy jungle, possibly looking for something, but here's Subtles and Shadow Demon possibly getting caught. And Subtles being pulled in by the Wheelish ultimate, but now it's being turned on a Wheelish. Gino taken down and actually taken out by Subtles now. Unable to confirm that kill despite a great pull. Backflip to get him to safety. Now the aggression is continuing. Actual Oblivion taken very low, but Shadow Demon is on Spartan, taking him very low. Kraken is forced out and takes Shadow Demon out of that fight, and it is once again swinging back into Dinkleberg's favor. But now the ultimate comes down from Odin, knowing that he has 2 ultimates down already. 3 ultimates down, as Perth also ulted. But now the Sanctified Field is the most important one. It is coming out now, picking up a kill onto Hard Stepdad. And now Shadow Demon is recalling, trying to get out of danger at these mid camp here. He does manage to get himself out. Now Spartan and Dragonmans are still on this tower, and they need their front line there to help them out. Now the Goose is level 18, and I'm surprised he's not willing to step into this tower to maybe put some aggression onto it. But now that Shadow Demon has rotated back in at full health, that's going to be enough to get them to call it off, back off of this one, and just reset here.
Looks like
By
we're going to
reset,
see a
I
little
mean
bit of a
pause.
pause here. And, it looks like Dinklebergs are looking for that Fire Giant. I mean, they have, a little bit of pressure on the side lanes, but I don't really think they have the pressure required for that Fire Giant here. So that could be a rough call there.
I would like to see them maybe start the Fire Giant, see if they can pull some members of Quantum in. Because even at this point, even with the health bars the way they are, they do still have the advantage in these fights. Quantum has no ultimates up right now at all. Granted, Dinklebergs only has 1, but that's still 1 more than Quantum has. The Goose will have his fairly soon. Spartan's Kraken won't be down for that long. It's not that big of a cooldown. And I just really think that this might actually be a pretty good call for Dinklebergs to make right now. And even if they can't do the Fire Giant, they do have a Pyromancer coming up right now as well, so they could always do that. Mystery Rabbit, maybe not quite aware that the game has been unpaused, takes a little bit of a pause herself there. Now it is going to be the Fire Giant started up here. Now, mind you, they do have a ward over where Dinklebergs walked, so Quantum knows what they're up to. Here is the Shadow Demon, but that Fire Giant is going to go down very quickly, and there's no contention. Now it is going to be Shadow Demon, who looks like he's going to be falling here, and it's going to be Mystery Rabbit finding the kill with the Paralyzing Spit, apparently killing Spit. Now the aggression is going to be turned towards this tier 2 tower, and that's exactly where you want to be right now. But Mystery Rabbit taking a lot of damage as her team has not stepped up with her. They need to get on the same page there. Now the aggression is continuing on to Hard Stepdad, and it's going to be Spartan picking up that kill. Now Odin jumping in, trying to peel off this aggression. However, there is a small spot where they can stand outside. However, the Goose is locked in completely, but Dragonmans does find the kill onto Hard Stepdad. The Goose still tanking this tower, and they need to burn it down quickly as he is finally having to drop out, but the tier 2 tower will fall at the same time. Now looks like they're going to be pressuring this mid Phoenix right Phoenix a little bit, but I like this call better. Rotate around to this mid tier 2, take that one down, but looks like they're going to be worried a little bit about the minions first. But with Fire Giant, you don't have to worry about those so much. It gives you so much extra damage on these structures. As long as you have someone tanking it, you can generally shred through them pretty quickly. Instead, we'll be going to the Pyromancer, securing another neutral objective for the Dinklebergs, and putting their lead at about 13,000. Man, this is quite the lead to fight into if you're Quantum. They really don't have much of a choice in defense right now. They pretty much have to just buckle down in one spot and do the best they can, but they're so far down right now in XP and gold that team fights just are not really an option. Now the Primal Fury is going to be respawning here, and look who's already in position. It's Dinklebergs ready to go on it, but they are fading back just a little bit and maybe resetting before taking it. A little bit of
Yeah, and
a
I
quiet
think
fire giant.
one thing to take a note of here is the Willix pick, you know? I
Oh, most
mean,
definitely.
from that early game, she's conditioned them to not want to jump in a fight, you know? Doesn't have to have ult up for that effect either, you know? They're worried about that ultimate there, so they're not jumping. They're not using that escape in combat, and I think that's really taking away a lot of their pressure. And they do steal the Gold
Ooh,
Fury,
Quantum managed to secure that. That's a good
Primal Fury.
win for them, and does close up the gold lead just a little bit, but maybe not quite as much as they would have liked, as it's still a pretty significant lead in favor of Dinklebergs. But still, that'll make future objectives a little bit easier for Quantum, and that counts for quite a bit. Now they're splitting this push, putting their attention towards mid and left lane. Now it is a wheel trapped in the Odin cage, which does find the jump out. Kraken comes down and takes out Shadow Demon, but it is Hard Step Dad who's still on Gino. He's not finding the kill with the Rend, and that's a great Whirlpool cutting off the aggression. But here comes Get Fragbro jumping over the wall looking for Gino, but now he's on Suku. He's got the movement speed, and what's this in the left lane? Is that a Phoenix falling? Yes, it is! And now Get Fragmo is trying to rotate in to try to put some pressure on this, but there's just nothing to be done. And now Mystery Rabbit is joining the fight. Dragonmans is still here with his ultimate available. Sanctified Field comes down, and that's going to be a kill for Dragonmans on to Get Fragbro. And that's the tier 2 tower also getting fragged. Big stun from Isis finds Dragonmans, but there's no follow-up. And now she's out of position. The ultimate comes down. Circle protection. Not going to be protection enough as she falls. And now Subtles is in some trouble as Mystery Rabbit is just chasing him like she's a dog and Subtles is the rabbit.
Yeah, I mean, this is not looking good for Quantum. I mean, I think Dinklebergs really have a great shot at ending here if they just keep that push up. However, they do lose the Fire Giant buff here going into this middle Phoenix.
Yeah, and this could be where they have to call it off as you're not able to find a ton of damage. Shadow Demon does find the Regurgitate onto Gino, but he's still alive somehow. Does end up falling. Now Shadow Demon's trying to go on to Spartan. Kraken comes out, but he's jumped over by Shadow Demon. And now Get Fragbro is looking to frag some bros. Spartan is still in the middle of this, but he finds a nice double kill onto Shadow Demon and Get Fragbro. And that is some real fragging. Now Hard Step Dad is in a lot of trouble as he's being pinched down. Sentinel of Zeus comes down, and it's purely defensive. They are still on the run. Subtle's trying to find a way out as well. He's finding a route onto Dragonmans, but I don't know if this is the fight you want to take. He's so low, but he's not going to be enough. Poseidon comes in with a big whirlpool and a surge, and it's going to be a double kill for him. Axel Oblivion is the only one left alive, but look at Dinklebergs. They have taken quite the beating in this chaotic fight, to say the least. Dragonmans is going to push forward and maybe try to get this Phoenix, but he's going to have to try to get it and then immediately back off as they have members of Quantum spawning in. The stun is good and does indeed find a kill for Axel Oblivion.
Yeah, I mean, that was just greedy there, you know? You already have a ton of pressure. You have those fire minions, you know, flooding in on the left. You don't need to take that middle Phoenix right now. You needed to back and, you know, be there for that next Fire Giant take, being the ADC on your team.
Yeah, and with that ultimate also being unavailable for this Fire Giant, that's going to be huge contention potential coming from Quantum now. Without having to deal with Sanctified Field, they have a good shot at this now. However, the Goose is just running around in their jungles, just kind of showing them who's the boss, really acting like a real Goose here. Now it looks like Dragonmans will be able to respawn in time for this Fire Giant, as Quantum is not willing to step towards it with those fire waves pushing down that far lane. And that's the advantage that Phoenix being down gives you, is that it's so far from the Fire Giant, you can't commit too much time to the other side of the map. Otherwise, those fire minions are just going to shred through your Titan. Now a little bit of a skirmish breaking out here as both teams are looking to get a little bit of pressure on the other. However, it is still Dinklebergs who have the most pressure with those fire minions pushing down. They're looking to aggress onto this Phoenix, but I'd really like to see them call it off and go for the fire giant here, Rule.
I mean, that's a low health Phoenix, but low health Phoenix isn't a dead Phoenix.
Side in some trouble here as the Kraken comes out. Aegis comes out from Shadow Demon, and now Axel Oblivion has found another kill. Dragonmans, though, has dropped the Sanctified Field, dropped Shadow Demon with it, and they're looking to continue this fight, but now the Odin Cage has dropped down as well. Gino, looking for a way out, does find it. Now Dragonmans and the Goose are still alive and looking to pressure this. Mystery Rabbit also still here to help tank for them. But now that left lane Phoenix has respawned. They've got defense on it. I think this is the time to call this siege off. They're only 4 strong over here. Really only 3 as Gino can't continue it any further.
Yeah, I mean, that's just another great defense from Quantum. I mean, keeping both of the Phoenixes alive. However barely, they're still alive.
I think this is the time that they just back off, regroup, wait for Spartan to come back up. Maybe they can grab this Primal Fury before heading over to the Fire Giant, but they don't have any wards over there. Granted, those Phoenixes are very low and they can't be left alone for too long. But Dinklebergs cannot afford to be wasting time any more than they have. Every second they spend now not ending the game is a second that Quantum spends catching back up to where Dinklebergs are.
Yeah, and we see this, self-pushing wave in the right lane, forcing the teleport out of the Hercules. And he's not going to be able to teleport to a far ward, It's going to take him a little bit longer to get to a team fight if one breaks out at this moment.
Now the rest of his team is thankfully grouping up towards him, taking this Pyromancer down before turning their attention most likely to this Fire Giant, which we should mention is now enhanced. So this next Fire Giant is going to be a very big deal. If Dinklebergs get this, they can break the game open and just end it immediately. If Quantum can defend it or even steal it, that could be absolutely huge for them.
Yeah, I mean, they are grouping up towards it, Dinklebergs no longer have that extra pressure in the left lane from those fire minions, so...
They're going to be dropping it and looking to aggress. Now Poseidon is locked into the Odin Cage with the Fire Giant. Shadow Demon has found a kill onto Spartan, but Dragonmans has dropped him in turn. But they're still taking Fire Giant aggro. They need to get out of there desperately. This is huge for Quantum. Now it is Dragonmans who falls down along with Spartan, the Goose, and Mystery Rabbit. It's only Gino who's still left alive. They needed to get out of that fire pit so much faster than they did. As soon as that Odin Cage came down, they had to drop it and get out. But they just fought inside that pit for way too long, only got Shadow Demon off of it, and now it's going to be Quantum getting the enhanced Fire Giant.
Let's see what they can do with it.
1,000 down. This is absolutely massive for them. They have 20 seconds before Spartan is up, 24 before the Goose is up, 24 until Mystery is up, and Oleron is the farthest one out. They cannot afford to keep getting locked into cages like that.
No. They have the minions here. They should be able to take down this middle Phoenix very, very easily.
Yeah, this Phoenix stands no chance. A Frenzy is popped as well. Now the Kraken comes out, finds some good damage, but not onto the people he wants it to find.
No, and Quantum just needs to get out here. Disengage. You got the enhanced fire.
Now
you got the middle Phoenix. You got a little bit of pressure. You just need to get out.
Yeah, similarly, I think Dinklebergs might be looking to continue this fight and see if they can finish them off, get this Fire Giant off of them, but indeed it's going to be very difficult right now. However, as the ultimates are almost all back up for Quantum, and Dinkleberg's still waiting on a few of theirs, but a good gravity surge pulls Get Fragbro towards Gino. However, the Odin Cage comes down, but it could be an actual Oblivion being locked down, and Spartan does find the kill onto that. Now it is Hard Stepped Out, who's being aggressed on by 2 members, now 3 members. Sentinel Zeus comes down. Sanctified Field was already used. Stun comes out onto Dragonmans from Neath. and now they're grouped up. Shadow Demon is here looking for Dragon Men's, and he looks like he could be able to find. Look at the damage he's putting out right now. Gino is forced to jump away already now. Shadow Demon is very low as well, but here comes Get Fragbo, still looking for more. Does find a blink, but Gino turns around. Unfortunately, does not find the knockup. But now Hard Step Dad also still low, but Get Fragbo is just trying to run this fight as Spartan is now under duress. Good driving strike cuts off the stun, but here's Shadow Demon on the back end. Kraken comes down onto Suttles, but a big boulder from Hercules does slow down the aggression from Shadow Demon there. Does get Spartan out with his life. And now things are kind of back to a neutral point here. No longer do the gold leads matter. No longer do the XP differentials matter. All that matters now is Phoenixes and Fire Giants.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to note, Dinklebergs does still have 3 towers up, that's a lot of standing gold as well, That could be that speed pot into finishing that last item. That could be, a power pot. It's a substantial amount.
Absolutely. Now, the Fire Giant is almost about done. They were able to buy a lot of time, and frankly, if Dinklebergs can make a fight like that again into a Quantum that doesn't have Enhanced Fire Giant, I think they can still take this game. However, Quantum is pushing down that left lane, as you just mentioned. That tier 1 is standing, but for how long? Well, Quantum says not for very long, as they are indeed just taking it down, shredding through it. But here comes the Dinklebergs. They look like they're rotating around, but maybe not taking the best pathing. They're going to be a little bit late to this, where they're not going to be able to catch Quantum out on this push. Instead, Dragonmans is going to be left in mid by himself to defend these fire minions. He is actually going to rotate around, maybe look for this Oni Fury that's starting up. And if they can secure this, it can be a nice little boon in their favor. That'll help them push these waves. But Quantum is not ready to give up the fight just yet. They're looking for more. Hard Step Dad is stepping forward, and they're trying to keep him off. Now they've dropped the Oni Fury, but here's Shadow Demon onto Dragonman. The Sanctified Field has come down, but Hard Stepdad has dropped the ultimate to take him out, but the Kraken comes up as well, and that gets rid of Shadow Demon. And now they are still on the back foot. Dinklebergs can't continue the fight for much longer. Mystery Rabbit is too low. Gino is too low. The Goose is too low. Spartan is the only one who is healthy right now, but he's already dropped his ultimate. Fireman's still pouring down the mid lane. They have to get back and defend them.
That could be that middle Phoenix if they continue this pressure. If they don't let them back. However, it looks like the Hercules is going to get there in time, but that should be an Oni Fury for Quantum. That'll give him a lot of extra pressure with those Oni minions pushing down those waves. When we see
they catch Gino here, but
damage
don't
onto
find
Gino.
the second stun. Good knockup, but it's not enough, as Gino will be able to hop right back onto Stuku and jump out. Now this is great timing for Quantum as well, because look what's about to come up. That's right, it's the Enhanced Fire Giant. Now Dinklebergs have to deal with the Fire minions in mid, the Oni minions in every lane, and they have to also defend this Fire Giant because they cannot afford for Quantum to get a hold of it again.
Yeah, I mean, this is just hard for Dinklebergs right now. I mean, it's 39-15, but right now Quantum has pressure. And I'd love to see them push for that Enhanced Fire Giant, They need to apply that pressure with those Oni waves to force that objective.
Yeah, and it is Quantum who is making the first steps towards the right side of the map there, where that Fire Giant is. Words are hard. I am sorry.
They are very hard.
But we do see a recall from Odin here. Now, does have TP available, and there are wards nearby, so they can't take this too lightly. But now, without Enhanced Fire Giant being on Quantum, Dinklebergs have a better chance at team fighting here. Pyro will undoubtedly go the side of Quantum. The Enhanced Fire is the real prize that's being looked at. And so far, no one's willing to make a committal move onto it. And now Spartan might be caught out here, but the Dragon's ultimate comes down. Sanctified Fields tries to peel, and it's not going to be quite enough as Odin Cage does come down, but Gino is still alive somehow. No, he does fall to actual oblivion, and now this fight is going in favor of Quantum as Shadow Demon has found a way to the backline. Kraken comes down, finds Shadow Demon once again. And now the Stygian Torment comes down as well. Dragon Men's and Spartan are still alive, looking to continue the pressure, trying to keep up the damage. And now we do have both frontliners on top of them. That's a good Whirlpool, putting a lot of damage right now, but the Circle of Protection is big, and it's a big spot. Mystery Rabbit takes a lot of damage off that one, but that's another great Whirlpool right in that corridor that's cutting off so much aggression. Dragonman's now finds the kill onto Hard Stepdad. That's a big death timer. Now Kubi get Fragro, who's looking a little bit low. The aggression is just going to continue on. They're going to try to find a Deicide if they can here. They're pushing them away, but they're taking a lot of damage on the return. Dragonman's now about half health. They're looking to see if they can find actual Oblivion here. That's a great block! Dragonman's finds that kill! Now they are going to look towards the mid lane, but I don't know if this is the call, or maybe they should go back to that Fire Giant, but they have made the call, and they are sticking to it, and that's one thing I can respect, is sticking to the calls that your team makes.
Yeah, I mean, 3 into 2. Definitely a favorable position into this Phoenix fight.
You gotta watch out. Odin Cage is up, and there it is. The Goose is taking the aggression, though, and that is gonna be a felled Odin wall. Now Shadow Demon is back up, and they have to call this one off, I think, right here. Otherwise, they could risk getting completely wiped. Unfortunately, did not make use of that fight to take the Fire Giant, and that's gonna let Quantum still stay in this game. Man,
Yeah, and if they're all back right now, that could put a ton of pressure on Quantum if they are able to realize that. But it looks like they're, still just shuffling out of base, not really in a position to take too much momentum away from that.
They are still on that side because I would expect Dinklebergs to be there, so they want to be around to contest. But this is going to be a full 5-on-5 fight once again. It's actually Quantum that has the positioning around Fire Giant right now. Bergs are coming up to it, but Dragonman's is stepping a little bit far forward there. He does realize it and backs off a little bit. And neither team really wants to be the one to start this up here. Neither has a big enough lead over the other. They are looking for a big pluck, finding a big Hercules ult coming down. And not finding any kills just yet. Now Shadow Demon is jumping in onto Dragonman's once more, trying to find him. However, it's going to be Shadow Demon that's found once again by Spartan's Kraken. Now Get Fragwell has jumped in, dropped the cage, walking through it now. Hard Stepdad also on Spartan, but he's able to put so much peel for himself. Sanctified Field also comes down. Get Fragwell has to jump out, but this one is looking like it's in favor of Dinklebergs as Gino has found a kill now onto actual Oblivion. Now Get Fragwell is also falling to the Spartan, and that's going to be a double kill for Gino. Hard Stepdad is the only one still alive, and I don't even think they need to worry about him. Just go for the end call. And that is going to be a Deicide. Dragonmen's cleans that one up. I don't think they even need the Fire Giant now. What are they doing?
What are they doing? Why are they clearing waves?
Just down mid. Go mid.
It's a Deicide. Come on.
Just go mid.
Step on the gas.
They've got 15 seconds on Baka still. They need to get into this throne room and just close the game out. Dragonmen's needs to get back into mid and help his team push. They need to close it out before they get more than 2 members back alive for Quantum. Now Shadow Demon is up. They have regrouped as 5. They need to not worry about these minions. They need to just go for this Titan. Shadow Demon has his ulti, but no minions. A great gravity surge pulls Shadow Demon away from the aggression. That's going to be a second Deicide, and that's going to be game number 3, and the match going to the Dinklebergs. What a wild ride. Ruler, that was an exceptional experience. Dinklebergs was in the driver's seat for so much of that game, and then they started to slip up a little bit, and Quantum started piloting the game themselves, putting Dinklebergs where Quantum wanted them to be. But at the end of the day, it is Dinklebergs who finally managed to find their footing, come back, and secure the win.
Yeah, I mean, Quantum had an amazing defense for so long, and that's just disappointing to see that they just couldn't quite, turn that amazing two defenses into a win. I mean, I think it really comes down to the ADCs here. I mean, Dragonmans was able to put so much work into those team fights with that sanctified field, opposed to the Neath's, kind of inability to do too much in those team fights. Doesn't have the CC or the, area of effect that Oleron has.
Yeah, and that's just the power of Oleron. It is absolutely one of the best team fight ultimates in the game. And if you have a team that works with you around it, it is just fantastic. Now, we will be having an interview here shortly with none other than ODST Spartan 21 himself, the Poseidon, the mid laner for the Dinklebergs. And we're going to go ahead and pull him in here in just a moment. I will have to have someone else do it. Thank you, Mr. Dino. How you doing, Spartan?
Doing good, actually.
Yeah, I would imagine so after that great game.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Now, you guys got off to a really good start with game number 1. Things slipped up a little bit in game number 2. Can you tell us what happened there a little bit?
Game number one, I mean, we were just trying to get a little comfortable. That was kind of the first game for us, but when we won, we got a little too comfortable in the second game and kind of felt like we were throwing at that point.
Well, you certainly cleaned it up going into game number 3. You looked much more dominant in that one. Started controlling it from minute 1 there. Uh, what what happened between game 2 and game 3 to clean that up for you guys?
They told me to play Poseidon. Long story short.
Crack and go Bert.
Yeah, they were like, "Yeah, Spartan, you know what? You're playing Poseidon because you do a lot better with Poseidon than your Merlin." I was like, "Yeah, I can." And
And
they were just asking me if I could play like I normally do, just be comfortable with him.
yeah, and you looked really good on that Poseidon. There was one moment we called out in particular in the duo lane where you guys were fighting and the Odin rotates in around you. And you look at him and you just say, yeah, okay. Drop the Kraken onto Subtles, and I think it was Hard Stepdad on the Nike, and just delete them from the fight and turn it completely in your favor.
Yeah, that I was really trying to, I was really just trying to help out because I just seen that my team was having a little trouble. I wasn't expecting what happened. It's just a matter of the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I love to hear it, but what we saw you guys kind of target out some more comfort picks, or so it seemed, in game number 2 before shifting back to more meta picks in the bans on game number 3. Did you guys have a particular draft you were trying for or trying to lock out, or was it literally just Spartan pick Poseidon?
No, it's just well, we were kind of hoping Gino would be able to pick Thor because he's really good with Thor. And well, when they banned the Thor, they just decided like, hey, all right, Spartan, you're gonna pick Poseidon since the Thor is gone. Like and pick up a Wheelix. So we just surrounded everything for the pop-ups for Wheelix more.
Yeah, and that is another thing we wanted to touch on. So I'm glad you brought it up. The Awelish pick. It's not something we typically see Gino on. Is that a hidden pocket pick, or was that just because you saw so many jumps coming out of the side of Quantum?
Yeah, that really was it. I mean, the Neath pick was kind of a surprise. Honestly, we weren't expecting the Neath pick. Honestly, because the Wheelix kind of completely shuts down the Neath.
All in all, you guys looked great this set, and I'm eager to see more of what you guys do going forward. 17-16 is ODST Spartan 21's slash line for the end of this game. Spartan, is there anything you'd like to say or shout out before we head off for the night?
No, I mean, we had a good game. Just good game to Quantum. I mean, they tried their best. I mean, so did we. I mean, I'm pretty sure both teams gave it their all.
Absolutely did. We could tell from the spectators. Thank you, Spartan, for joining us today. And thank you, Dinklebergs and Quantum, for the amazing set. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in with us. Come back tomorrow where we have a couple sets lined up starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there.